right, Bryson, Chief, can you hear us out there?
Are we muted on the screen?
Yeah. Good. No. Now you have to mute it again. Oh, that's the phone. Okay. Do you hear us, Bryson?
I can hear you.
Mr. Mayor, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. All right, it's 5:35. I'll go ahead and open up the meeting. Welcome to City of Bellevue, Idaho Common Council, Monday, June 24th, 2024 meeting. It is 5:35, and can we get a roll call, please?
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
President Bordani?
Yes.
Member Carrero?
Yes.
Member Leahy?
Yes.
Member Mahoney? Member Obanaccio? Member Shea?
I think Mahoney is here though, isn't he on the phone?
Member Mahoney?
Yeah.
Maybe
he's
not here yet. Sorry. He will be.
We'll watch for Sean. Seeing that we have 4 people here, that constitutes a quorum. We'll go ahead and move forward. Friendly reminder, please turn off all cell phones except for emergency personnel. If you're online, please mute yourself and raise your hand if you have a question. Finding that regular meeting notice and agenda were posted in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204 within 48 hours prior to the meeting at Bellevue City Hall, Post Office, and the city's website on June 18th, 2024.
I move that the notice for the June 24th, 2024 regular meeting was completed in accordance with Idaho Code, section 74-204.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Do any of the council members have a conflict as outlined in Idaho Code 74-404? Right. This time, I'll move to item 3, public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. Anybody online or in the gallery have any comments? All right, seeing none, I just got a couple. Want to thank the community events. They put on a nice event Sunday. They had some decent attendance, but it was nice just to see the community work together to put something to get to know each other. Some nice music. I think it's a great start, and I appreciate what you guys are doing out there. Also, as we are coming up on the 4th of July holiday coming up, the county did put a ban in for fireworks for areas of concern. So just be aware that within our parks, city properties, fireworks are banned. Safe and sane fireworks are legal at your homes, but please use good judgment. Draper Preserve, Howard Preserve, open areas, if there's high grasses, please don't use fireworks in those areas. We highly encourage you to keep them in your driveway, keeping them in a hard space where you can control anything that might get out of hand and have water on hand. But I hope everyone enjoys the 4th of July. Be safe. And we will still be patrolling for, the big stuff that somehow always gets brought in. But, just use good common sense. I don't want to call the fire department out for the next 3 weeks dealing with stuff that can be avoided with some common sense, but have a good time. Other than that, I close public comment. Move on to item 4, mayor's address. Well, this isn't the packet. I'm gonna I really appreciate this getting put together and some of the accomplishments we've done over the year. I don't think I'm gonna read this word for word, but I'm gonna go for a high level. I hope I get most of it. So in chapter 7, mayor and his powers, in section 55 of the charter, the mayor, executive officer of the corporation, his duty on the first regular meeting in June is to communicate a message in the council to a general statement of the condition and affairs of the corporation and recommend adoption of such measures that he may deem expedient and proper, and make special communications to the council from time to time as may be proper. So it's just required that we do this. We're a little bit behind, so we're doing it in the second meeting in June, but I feel it's important to give an overview of what we have done over the last year. And we'll continue to follow this and next year make it a little bit better and share all that we're doing here. But so far, the city of Bellevue is focused enhancing on infrastructure, expanding our municipal services, and securing essential funding to support community growth and resilience. This report will outline some of that. We've worked on rebuilding and expanding our municipal services. We really focused on streets and parks. We were able to rebuild our streets department by hiring new staff members who have contributed to the maintenance of our city parks, our buildings, and our properties. This integrated approach maximizes our efficiency and ensures a comprehensive care for all our city public spaces. Casey McGehee was hired as the new street supervisor. We started in May of 2023. We've also hired 2 additional staff. We've had 1 turnover since then in July, but we still are currently at a 3-man department. They made great strides in the past year, becoming more self-sufficient and decreasing its dependency on the contract labor. Specifically in that regard, we did have a couple instances. We did have a small snow year, but we weren't reliant on contracted snow plowing services. With the equipment that we were able to secure and with our own staff, we were able to get the streets looking pretty good through the winter, and we really appreciate their team on that. The streets department the past year has acquired or leased multiple pieces of equipment. We purchased 2 new F-250s and snow plows to help with our snow operations and then general operations through all departments in the city. We signed a rental contract to get us through a gap where we had to turn in a Bobcat toolcat. We were missing one before the new one could get delivered to us. But we were able to lease, and we now have that in service for a Bobcat toolcat for the term of 36 months. We also purchased a 2.5 cubic yard sander and a 4 cubic foot spreader to help with winter streets, specifically on our hills and sidewalks. We've also have a governmental truck lease for a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 55,000 or 5,500. For the term of 60 months. At the time that one ends, we can either purchase it for $1 or we can sell it and we get the value of what it's currently worth. It's been a great truck, and we're using it both for streets, for plowing, and call out vehicle for our water and sewer departments. The Parks Department has been busy in the spring, performing ongoing maintenance, getting our sprinkler systems up and running, and dealing with some of the graffiti that is plaguing our city. I really like to take that point and encourage residents at all levels to talk to your kids, talk to the people that you influence. It costs us money to go clean up your graffiti. We're seeing more of it in the park. It just really doesn't need to happen. We have a limited budget. We have nice services. We want to keep those up. And people doing random acts of what would you call it?
Unkindness.
Destruction, and just personal, I don't know. We just please watch people. If you see it, let us know. I would like to nip that down, and I enjoy our open spaces in our parks, and it's kind of difficult trying to keep that open and keep after it so it looks nice for everybody to use. In our administrative department, during last year, the city separated duties from the clerk treasurer. We broke it down into 2 positions. We now have a full-time treasurer and a full-time clerk. In addition, we do have 2 administrative employees, 1 for water and sewer billing and 1 for our general financial and invoicing. The city hired an administrative assistant to provide information to the public regarding building and zoning regulations, accept planning and zoning applications, and on-call planning. She's doing a great job. She's taken on multiple roles, and we continue to appreciate her work there, and hopefully continue to get her the on-job experience to expand her role and support the city. As of right now, the city does not have a planner. We are using a contracted service for that. Job description is currently drafted and has been out for several months. We're also looking at a community development director. We are going to be interviewing a person for that position this week, and I hope that goes well. But these are two positions that are still being advertised. Due to the cost of living and housing, it's been a challenge to fill both of those. In March 2024, the city entered into a professional services agreement with Great West, like I mentioned before, for our on-call planning services. They've been great, but we really are looking forward to having people in-house that know our valley, know us, and know where we want to go. But we will continue to use Great West as needed, even once we do get some hires in. Appreciate what the libraries continue to do. We had some challenges at the budget year last year where it got brought up that might go away. That is not the case. And it has done a great job this year bringing in new products, new opportunities for both our youth and our seniors, just all across the board. Kristen has done a great job continuing to provide it as our community center, a library. She's found $4,500 in grants and almost matching in donations since October. So we appreciate everything that's going on at the library, and we'll continue to support and improve services there as we can. Financial administrative improvements. We've gone over a software implementation, so we've improved our IT department. We've switched to a new service provider. We're working on software that manages all our city financials, our communications, and our water meter activation for billing purposes. This will streamline operations and improve service delivery to our residents. We've adopted a financial controls policy to safeguard our accounting practices, so we can clearly define the responsibilities of the council, ensure the segregation of duties, and proper acceptance and distribution of city funds. The fire department continues to work within their capabilities. We have bolstered what we have available. There was one major repair on our main fire engine. It was not expected in last year's budget, but we were able to push funds around to make sure that we still had that engine ready and operational for our residents. With the thanks of the city of Sun Valley, we got donated a new brush truck fire engine for some of the wildland or the urban interface areas, and we really appreciate that. And we are working on getting that fully operational and involved into our fleet. Marshal's office, Marshall Gaston was appointed in July of 2023 and is currently himself, and we have three, right?
Yeah.
We currently have himself and three deputies. The Marshal's office has responded to 4,156 calls in the past year. We required one new vehicle, a Ford Explorer. The duties of code enforcement were absorbed by both the Marshal's office and the clerks. Currently, the Marshal's office is carrying a staff workload of the Marshal and 4 deputies with, so a 5-man, they're working a 5-man shift with a 4-man squad right now. So we'll continue to see where we can improve, and hopefully we can find it in this year's budget to add another officer, reducing the overtime expenditures, which basically balance out the cost of what would be for another officer. Grants and funding, drinking water study, the city successfully applied for and received a $49,999 grant from ARPA for drinking water study. This allowed us to do a review of the spring system, ensure that there was no groundwater under the influence, and it helps us make a plan as we move forward with the water bond to have a sustainable long-term water supply for the city. The wastewater treatment plant secured another $49,990 grant, and a second grant from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA, through Blaine County for repairs to the electrical system and our SCADA supervisory control and data acquisition system. The city's wastewater treatment plant is still under repairs right now. We have completed estimates for the electrical repairs that will continue to be needed. We've got Great West working on a contract with Veolia that can clean our membranes. So hopefully by late this fall, we'll have power back operational. We can test what everything's going on and see where else we can get improvements, but we should be getting it slowly back online and, hopefully reduce the use of the lagoons and the odor that those do cost down there. We continue to look for supplies and ways to improve the aeration and the treatment down there to reduce the just the stink that's coming off there, for the lack of a better word. A transportation plan, the city accepted a federal highway project plan from the Idaho Transportation Department for the creation of a transportation plan valued approximately at $90,000. The city's match for this project was 7.34% of the total cost. We have begun our lead service line inventory and drinking water improvements. We secured grants through Idaho DEQ for the lead service line inventory. These grants aim to assess and address the health, safety, and well-being needs for our drinking water. This is an EPA required project. Basically, we need to identify all service lines that go from the city's main lines to residents and schools, what material they're made with, and ensure that we're getting all lead out of our water system. We have about 1,100 service lines. We will be sending out a survey to ask residents to look at underneath their homes and their crawl spaces, basements, whatever it be, to see what's coming into your house, so we don't have to come look ourselves. Just so your privacy is, let you know you can stay underneath your house, but we'll identify everything we can on our side. This is a national project. I work with systems all around the state trying to get this done. We are a little behind on it, but we intend to have this completed by October 16th, which is the deadline. The water department, city's water contractor, Shane Garrison, and his contract were renewed in December of 2023 for a one-year extension to December of 2024. Minister Garrison continues to perform his duties. We pulled on a couple other people to assist him. We've done some upgrades at the wells. We put in liquid chlorine just for additional disinfection if needed. We're keeping a residual of 2 to 4 parts per million. So it's just basically enough to make sure that we don't have any bacteria in our water system and try to keep it as diluted as possible so we don't get high chlorine taste in our water. We also have a few other projects that they're working on, but the water department's doing good. We've completed the water facility plan. Jeff Kennedy with Water Quality Engineering notified the city on December 2022 that the city of Bellevue water facility plan technical draft was approved. Ordinance 2024-01 revenue bond. The city passed a water bond approved by the residents of Bellevue to replace an aging components and secure long-term access for construction, operation, and maintenance of infrastructure necessary to use the Siemens Creek surface water rights. So we got that going for us. City of Bellevue revenue bond. Total votes cast were 461. Total registered voters were 1,301. We had a turnout of 35.4%. There were 320 in favor and 141 against. There was some discussion about turnout during a midterm election. I do want to point out that we had more turnout in the May election than we did in the previous November election. So I appreciate everybody turning out and sharing your opinion on that and approving it. The wastewater department, city wastewater director or contractor Brian Ellsworth, and his contract was renewed in November of 2023 for a one-year extension until November of 2024. Mr. Ellsworth continues to perform duties of his contract. His team is down there as much as they can to clean, do maintenance, keep our lagoons performing the best that we can. Like I said, we are continuing to try new methods to reduce the odor that's coming from those. The wastewater facility plan update. The wastewater facility plan was completed in June of 2023 by Keller and Associates. The city is currently in the process of preparing for the public comment period regarding the city of Bellevue wastewater facility plan study. With the failure of the plant, this has changed some things, but we're still working with DEQ and Keller to finish this. We're going to be presenting it, but we may not be taking any action on it other than approving it as we look with Great West to see how we're actually going to move forward with the remediation and getting the plant back online. The wastewater facility study has an environmental document and a proposed wastewater system improvements with maps showing the proposed alternatives, which should be available for viewing at Bellevue City Hall, the City of Bellevue website, and the plan has been available on the city website since June of 2024. The published notice will be available on the city's website on June 17th, 2024. Some collaborative efforts that we're currently going through are greenhouse gas emission inventory. The city entered a memorandum of understanding with Blaine County for a cost sharing on a greenhouse emission inventory. This initiative will provide both countywide and municipal level data to support sustainability planning, implementation, and benchmarking efforts across the region. We've also been working with the Recreation and Community Development. The city entered a memorandum of understanding with Blaine County Recreation District, the cities of Cary, Haley, Ketchum, and Sun Valley, as well as Blaine County School District to enhance recreational opportunities and community development. Future projects that we're looking at, the city is actively exploring and working with annexations on the north and south ends of the city that will enhance. Conclusion, Bellevue remains dedicated to improving the quality of life of our residents through strategic planning, collaborative effort, and commitment to excellence through public service. We look forward to continuing our progress and achieving our new milestones in the next year ahead. Thank you, Mayor Johnson, City of Bellevue. All right. Now where's my hand? If you want more information on our contracts, they can be found in this planning document. We have contracts with BED Water Professionals, contracts with Mountain Humane, contracts with our water consultants, on-call engineering, and several others. But those are all available on the website and in this current packet. Any questions on the mayor's address? Shelley, can you present us with the treasurer's biannual report?
Yes, I'm not sure what tab it is in your book there. I think it's 5. Yeah. I was informed last week that our charter says that twice a year, June and December, we will publish in the newspaper, and I will present to you that report. So I did a very minimalistic report because we go through detailed reports every month, and I have a treasurer's report for you. But that is the report that will actually be in the newspaper on Wednesday. So, and the charter is what has required us to do that.
Thank you.
Just before we go into the consent, I will make note, since we are following the mayor's address and some of the things that we are looking at doing. I am having Rick review the charter, provide benefits and the pros and cons of the charter, and potentially looking at asking the legislature to dissolve the charter and moving us to an incorporated city that reduces some of our handcuffs, lets us operate within our own council. It'll allow us to do such things as six people on this council may be too many, so maybe we could reduce it down to 4, but then extend our terms to 4 years. Of course, that would happen like on an election cycle, so it wouldn't be just extending without votes and stuff. But there's a lot of things that the charter does and doesn't do for us, and unless there were reasons or monetary support that the legislature wanted to provide to make sure that we continue doing some of the things they want, I think it's time that Bellevue can become an incorporated city and manage its own affairs. So I will be pushing through that this next year. Moving on to item 6, the consent agenda. Any questions on items A, B, C, and D of the consent agenda?
I don't have any questions on the minutes section. I did make some quite a few grammatical and clarification, typographical errors or corrections, and I will hand those to Michelle when she gets back.
Somewhat related, were we able to get rid of our recycling issue?
My question is when do you want to do it?
I think that's, yeah, I didn't just pull the trigger on it, so.
Got it, yeah.
I guess we should actually. Would we need to put a motion in, or can we just say right now that we are gonna discontinue recycling services? I mean,
I think you have to do a motion.
as much as I'm looking at you, I mean, I'm actually seeing Rick.
How's this on the agenda?
But it's not, we just got a question, it hasn't been done, but it's just a service that we provide. It's not an agenda item, it's not a, I just think that we can cancel that contract and be done with the services, so we're not spending $3,000 for the service and then $1,500 for the service and $1,500 for the garbage that's being dumped in it.
Yeah, just stop paying it. I guess that's all you have to do, right?
Just cancel it, okay?
I think you need permission to stop spending city money.
Okay. Please cancel our recycling contract. Thank you, Shelley.
Does anyone else have any questions about the consent agenda?
Although, is there any kind of provision that says we have to make a notice in the contract?
I think it's just like your garbage.
Month.
If somebody is gonna
It's a
move,
month-to-month service.
Okay, then, yeah.
It's just part of our Clear Creek service. Yeah.
Then I will move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
all in favor?
Yes.
Is that one a roll call vote?
It says that it is.
Okay, roll call, please.
Member Shea,
Yes.
member Leahy,
Yes.
member Carrero,
Yes.
President Durrani.
Yes.
Showing on here.
No,
Okay.
he's probably been trying to get a hold of me.
And Jessica is also not online with us tonight.
Yeah, Sean couldn't get through on the Zoom.
I just want to loop back and check in. I saw that 4 and 5 were action items. Did we need to do anything about that, or was that a miss?
Well, the consent agenda, I think we just had to hear him.
Just had to hear. Okay.
Because whether you approve my address or not, I just addressed it. So it's not coming.
Just double check.
We got it, whether we wanted it or not, right?
All right, no, I appreciate the consent agenda. Moving on to new business, consideration resolution 2383, a resolution of the city council of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, canvassing the returns, declaring the results of the special municipal revenue bond election held May 21st, 2024, for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, the question of the issuance of water revenue bonds of the city in the amount of up to $7 million and providing an effective date. I think this is just the last part of finishing out the bond process and saying that we accepted the votes as presented.
I'll move to adopt resolution number 2383, a resolution of the city council of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the special municipal revenue bond election held May 21st, 2024, for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, the question of the issuance of water revenue bonds of the city, an amount up to 7 million and providing an effective.
Second. 2 seconds.
Member Shea,
Yes.
member Carrero,
Yes.
President Dudley,
Yes.
member Leahy,
Yes.
All right, now the fun stuff, budget workshop.
Okay, I hope everyone got what looks kind of put together. If anyone else needs information, it's already here. Just so you know, all of the worksheets are dated, so in every one that we're looking at tonight, it should be dated today, 6/24. So if you look on the very bottom footer and it says anything else, you're on the wrong sheet.
so, see library over there, is it over there? Should it be?
They're all in one bundle,
Oh, got it, okay, got that,
yeah.
thanks.
So just to kind of open everything up, my job here is to facilitate this. Your job is to create it. So between the two of us, or all of us, I'm hoping to get our general fund much more streamlined tonight. I want to focus on the general fund. I've done some tweaking on my own, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But there are issues with carryover is something that we have been utilizing every year in our budgets, and I am afraid that we're about out. So that does concern me in terms of we've got to become more self-sufficient without using carryover. So we need to really take a good hard look. My guesstimate right now on carryover is not very good. So,
I just want to start one thing off too.
Yeah.
So we're doing this budget process a little bit different than we have in the past. Everybody spoke about transparency and being more involved with it. And so, last week or 2 weeks ago, when we talked about this, paper makes a big deal out of this $900,000 deficit, and other people have taken and ran with that as well. That was a huge wish list. And so this was like everything that the departments wanted, pulled in. If we could do best case scenario, this is what we want. We've also had some revenue challenges. We don't know exactly where our revenue streams are changing and where they're at. And so again, right now, we still got a few more weeks to work on this. We're still at a high level. We're a little bit lower than last week, 2 weeks ago, but we're not as bad as we look. We have to figure out what we actually need versus what we actually want. And, we need to get our want list. And then if there's stuff there that we can get on, or we need to get our needs list completed. And then if there's things there we can add to that want list, great. But I just want to clarify some of the comments and stuff that I've seen that we're at the very initial process. Instead of me and Shelley doing this upstairs and spending a few days over it, whittling it down and just presenting you with a final draft that you could tweak a little bit, I wanted it open and comments from all of you as we move forward, and the department heads. I think the department heads over the last few years have not had a high level of input on their budgets, and nor has the council itself. So we're gonna try this out. So please, people hearing this, reading about it on Wednesday, we are in the initial phases. We're not as bad as it looks. We just need to figure out to make it look better.
thank you, I appreciate that. So we've had a couple of challenges here, and we're gonna go through some of that, but for example, our iCrimp insurance is doubling this next fiscal year. Everybody's went up significantly, and that's a $70,000 expense. I mean, so there are some challenges to some of this.
Have there been a lot of claims filed or something?
It's a national thing, so
They've tried to fight it, but
yeah,
they're,
at the IC conference last week, they did a briefing on it, and what's happened is with all the hurricanes, flooding, and stuff on the east and Midwest of the United States, it's raised plains throughout the country. And while Idaho has been separate and not seen those things, they have to, it's kind of like, they kind of made an analogy of the stock market. Or home sales, you get a bundle of people that buy into a development, and then they start selling smaller shares where they bundle, bigger debt. And that gets a lower equity. Nobody wants to put money into insurance right now because they've reached basically the max, and there's an ebb and flow of how low they can go with their rates versus how much they have to pay out. And right now they've been paying out more than they're getting in, and there's not a lot of investors. And unfortunately, Idaho is just stuck because we may not be the ones filing the claims. It goes off a national average, and we're kind of stuck with it.
When they increase their risk pool.
Risk pool.
Okay, so let's dig in. If you will turn to the very front where you have a City of Bellevue budgets at a glance, I just want to kind of generally show you where we're starting from today. But if you will look at the general fund totals, in this particular paperwork today, I have revenues of 2.1. Okay, we're gonna go through all of the accounts. Payroll of $1,636,786 for all departments in general fund. Maintenance and operations, 860,000. Capital of 149,648 for a total expense of 2.6. Okay, everybody following me? Which this time we're at a 495,544 deficit. So I have improved it a little bit along the way here. So that's all you need to really look at there right now. Let's dig in and get to the nitty gritty. Payroll is our biggest expense, okay? It always is for everyone. So let's go through the admin budget worksheet. I have not reflected any carryover in there at this point. And most of my revenue sources in here, except for the gray highlighted property tax, which I do not get until the end of July. I tried to get a draft L2 done today, but Stephen Graham did not call me back. So that is an estimate right now. So most of the other incomes are directly from the AIC budget manual. They provide that information there. I have not provided any grant income for the administrative department. So basically reflected here is $1,472,115 in draft revenue at the moment. Any questions about that?
So the state sales tax revenue, I think you might have mentioned at the last meeting, that's going down for everyone this year.
4.1%.
4.1%.
Yeah, going down.
And then the franchise fees, do we see any of a bump in the last couple months of the fiscal year? Are you being conservative with the 70?
I'm just being conservative because I've not been through even a whole year yet to know. Yeah, those, I mean, some of those are pretty small. Quarter, they're a couple $1,000s. They're not very big.
Okay.
It looks like it would probably be higher this year than that, right, Shelley? Like our total?
Yeah, we're at 72 right now, 71,883. So, yeah, I don't know what will happen next year. And if we could change that to 72 or 73.
I was thinking
Or-
somewhere
I mean, it
between
might
that
be
and
worth-
75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not.
let's do it.
Does it look like we're on par to hit the fiscal year 24 budgeted admin fees? Are we low? Where are we falling on?
Oh, yeah, the admin fees.
Yeah, do you think we're gonna
Um,
get close to that 190?
Actually, we are there. This is through May 31st. I made the
Yes.
final transfer in June.
Thank
We're
you.
there.
We're there, okay.
Yeah, we're there.
So your growth is conservative going into fiscal year 25. I've only seen a 4,000 increase in revenue there.
Yes. Actually, no, I need to fix that.
Okay.
I have done a new worksheet. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
A new worksheet that will total 208,684.
Great.
So that's gonna go up.
Okay.
10,000.
But I know, because I've tracked it with you, interest has been quite significant this year. And is that something
No,
I see we haven't put that in yet. And
no,
that's something we can't really rely on because the rates are
it's investment interest.
investment interest.
So it's not usable money for us.
Okay,
It goes directly, all that interest is LGIP money.
okay,
So it's all of our savings accounts, and they're all in the LGIP fund, which is a state fund.
Okay.
They're earning about 4 to 5%. They're earning a good rate. They just keep rolling the interest back into them. So it just compounds, just keeps going.
and can you explain the LGIP fund and what we're able to do with those funds or how we can move
Well,
them around?
For
or
example,
pull them?
Streets has an LGIP, actually a couple of them. Our operating fund has an LGIP, a general. So there's, in my treasurer's report, there's always multiple LGIP accounts. And that's where client security goes into a LGIP. So all of that interest, my recommendation is you let it roll into these investments, and because we have no other savings, you let that interest roll into these and keep saving it. Our general fund LGIP account is our only general fund backup generally. Otherwise, there's streets, there's fire. We used fire up. Fire only has like $732 in it. It's minimal. And water and sewer have significant funds. But in the general fund, we're probably about, I think in our 802 account, we have about 250,000.
Okay.
I will probably end up using some of that by the time we get to the end of the fiscal year. And that's our savings. So I really don't want to use any of that interest here.
Okay.
I would not
That makes
recommend it.
sense. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Anything else on income? Okay, moving to expenses. First section is payroll. So, city council and mayor payroll rolls into admin. So basically the payroll spreadsheet, which is the long one that you fold out. Okay. Now, at this point in the game, I have done them all with a 3% COLA. So if you look on page 2 of your admin payroll, the 267,047, see down at the bottom, the total annual wages. That's what rolled over here into this, into the summary there, and all of the workers' comp, the taxes, the health insurance, all that stuff rolled into that admin. Okay. So
And workers' comp is just split up a little more, is that from
yeah,
how you did that last time?
yeah,
So whether everyone's.
yeah, and it's all,
Okay.
it's all a guesstimate too, because
Yeah.
workers' comp for this coming year, it's interesting. Workers' comp is based on the payroll that I will report for our last fiscal year in October. So when payroll changes significantly, like it might in some of our departments, the coming year is based on last year's payroll. That's what they base all that on. Yeah. It's kind of weird figuring out some of this stuff. So my question to you is, I guess, as we go through, we need to decide tonight what kind of personnel changes you want me to make to these worksheets and how that might affect our budget, because this is where the money is in this.
So I thought we said, we're gonna move Maria out of admin and put her into water and sewer.
The reason I did not is because the admin fees that we get reimbursed from water and sewer include a whole lot more than just Maria.
Okay.
And rather than having to do a whole payroll for one person, that creates a lot more work for Marcy. The admin fee.
Okay.
Um,
So it's still being paid by it, but it
Yeah.
just,
we're still
It
being,
comes
and
in
yes,
from basically an invoice from water and sewer to pay for her.
yes, and it encompasses more. It encompasses copies,
Right.
supplies, all that. Yeah.
Are we not seeing that as income though? Cause where are we, water and sewer is reimbursing, where is it coming through on the income side for admin?
Admin, the
Under the
administrative.
admin fees?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Something we haven't seen, because I know we're still in the best case scenario situation.
Okay,
Something we haven't seen is payroll without COLA
okay.
as a comparison.
I did a couple of them. I did for actually admin. It's the one above on page 2. Worksheet for October through September, that one is without COLA.
October through September, okay.
So the difference in your payroll is 259, 284 versus 267. 3% doesn't do a whole lot. I have not done that for every single department, but I certainly can if that's what we want for. I simply have run out of time on a lot of this.
You guys time COLA to any kind of performance, or is it just you get it or you don't?
No, we talked about this last meeting. We are going to start tying it to, well, raises in general are gonna be tied to performance. We will be taking just the general cost of living allowance, so I just found out that, like through VA, so VA and social security benefits are gonna be increasing by 3.2%. I think the city should still use that as their baseline increase, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people are gonna get it. Personally, I would like to see it in the budget, but we still go through the administrative review process, see the performance, and then see how much of that they actually do get, if they do get it. You know, we did our salary studies a couple years ago, and we've already blown through those. And with the continued cost of living increases, the cost of live in this community to attract people, we've had to go outside of that, but further sustainability, it's gonna be merit-based, but just using the national average or the national adopted COLA as our baseline.
So if, I did another sheet that's in your front of your book, this little guy with all the gray. Very quickly, it has comparisons for 22 with budget actual 23 and budget 24, no actual on there for 24 because we've got it elsewhere. And draft 25. So you can just see, for example, we've only hit admin, so you can just see the changes. And in fact, last year budget for admin was 433, 571, and draft right now is 402, 534. Okay, so we can look at this as we get to each department. Okay. I think there was another, can I see what the 3 in the front of your, I failed to put them all in my book.
There you go. You want that?
Yeah, you saw it. Yeah, oh, look at this guy. The draft payroll for the general fund. This gives you a good picture of all of the departments right now, what that general fund total budget is. So that'll give you a good overview of them, and that's taken from all this other stuff into that. Every time I do something, I discover there's another way that I can like
Show it.
try to show you what's going on there. So do you want me for each department to go back to a baseline without COLA for all of them? Okay, I will do that. Like I said, on admin, it's a $9,000 difference in the net payroll.
That's a lot of money.
Back to admin spreadsheet for, so that payroll section. So total payroll then, as drafted, is 366,615. I realized I did not put council and mayor on that, so that's actually 402. That total, okay. I just realized that just before the meeting, so I apologize that. I tried to pull numbers and then I forgot that number.
Shelley, how do you get the retirement number? Is that some formula?
Yeah, it's a percent.
It's a percent.
Mhm. And it's on the payroll, sheets.
Just wondering.
Yes, it is a percent. Any questions about payroll on admin?
Have we shopped around on the health insurance?
No, and I've asked him for a quote and he can't give that to me yet. I'm hoping it will be in the next few weeks, but I don't know. No, I have not taken any time to shop. Do you want to?
I think it's always worth
Yeah.
shopping with health insurance. You know, equal level of service, but sometimes things change.
The biggest challenge with health insurance is that it has to happen either at a change of event or in December to January. So there's open enrollment period, so we can't just
Even with
July.
government insurance.
Yeah, we just can't randomly.
No, I'm not saying change it.
October is our open enrollment.
Earmark it,
Yeah,
research it,
Yeah.
of course.
yeah,
If we can get a better deal when the shift happens, don't change out of the system. But I think it's always something good to look at.
one of the things to note is we are on a Regions Blue Shield Platinum plan, which I've asked him about that. Nathan Ching at Wood River Insurance is our guy. And nobody has a plan like that. I mean, we are,
Like an old one.
no, it's
We have
like
the
a
highest
premium.
level. We have
Platinum is
like
the top tier plan.
platinum's
Yeah,
the
we
best
have like
plan.
the top tier.
Yeah.
And then we offer a gold, which is a lesser plan.
So it's platinum, then gold, then
Yeah.
silver, then bronze.
Yeah. So it's always an option to change plans that could reduce the cost of insurance.
There's careful balance there. It's one of
I
our,
think
it's one of our few
Sure,
benefits.
Exactly.
And so if
Yeah.
if it reduces X level of care by several hundred, but only saves us X amount, and now it's out of pocket of our employees by more. So I mean, I'm all about looking at our different options, but it is one of the benefits that we do have the best in of the valley. Whether it's actually needed or not, I mean, I don't think I have a platinum plan, but
It's good.
I can tell you as someone who works for a health services
It's
company,
good.
I do not
Yeah.
have a platinum plan.
But I mean, honestly, with my full-time job, when we're trying to hire people, going against state agencies, I try to hire a guy, but we can't match his insurance, and so for him to come over, take our insurance plan, but then try to find on on the market or whatever for his wife and kids, he would need another $1,000 a month pay raise, and I just could not match it. So there is a benefit to having a platinum plan. We just have to see risk versus reward, I guess.
And at the time that you do look at other things, I'm happy to sit down with you because that's what I do for a living.
Right.
I just say earmark it for when the time comes.
She just
So
put your name down.
let's budget.
I did.
Budget appropriately, but look into it.
Yeah, okay. So shall we flip the page to 2 and start with our general operating expenses?
Yes.
Most of these that, in admin, I came up with the numbers based on past numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so, as I said before, a couple of accounts, things are moving a little bit. Decided against trying to charge each department for computer ITs, because if you look at
Too complicated.
it just keeps it simple and it's all out of the general fund anyway. So, admin is simply supplementing all, all of the other departments, because admin is less than what actually comes through admin in general fund, so, it was easier
We're on
just to
page 2,
keep
you
it.
said.
Yes, we're on page 2,
Thank you.
yeah.
Is there any way to just allocate some of that to water and wastewater for the IT?
I don't know, at this point, we don't really have any of their computers with the IT.
I was gonna say, cause they have their own SCADA.
They have their own,
So that's
and they're
its own
getting all that
system.
new, I
Okay.
don't know if we really can,
Cause they're separate systems.
That's all separate. Okay.
yeah.
This
Oh.
says 6:10 or 6:05 on it today.
Down here, it should say
Dated month.
624,
Oh, it does, okay.
okay,
I
yeah,
saw this up here, so I was concerned. Thank you.
okay.
The contingency fund, it looks like we didn't budget for it last year.
No, that is me adding up, oops. We missed something. And I've added that into the larger funds.
Okay.
Marshals, streets, admin, fire. I don't think I put it in any of the others. That could also be called miscellaneous. Things are so tight in here and there's no capital, which is capital kind of saved us this last year in terms of moving money around. And so, it's just one way of trying to make sure that we have a little bit there for something unplanned. I don't know if you agree or disagree. Please tell me.
I think let's leave it, and if we need to,
Yeah,
it comes down to $10,000, we have an option there.
Yeah.
The legal fees are up from last year, even though we didn't,
they're actually, well, 29.
in terms of what we budgeted.
They're about the same. I just have reworked the accounts. We have the prosecuting attorney line item
Okay,
and we have the legal fee general line
I
item.
see, you moved money,
Yeah,
got it.
just rearranged. Liability insurance, that's a flexible number at the moment. That will get finalized more toward the end of it here. Our copier lease runs us about 7,000 a year.
Can we buy a copier? I know
Well-
they're crazy expensive, so maybe that's a dumb question, but.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting
Are they more
because we just kind of turn it back in and get a new one. We got a new one this last year. So, I've already got a call into them because we've been incurring some overage charges. I think, having, an active clerk and all the papers and all this, even though I have a printer upstairs, we're running way more copies.
So you can only have X amount of copies?
Yeah, there is, our contract is for X amount of copies and we are running more. So I'm going to talk with them about what we might be able to do there, but we're kind of in a contract at a rate, yeah.
So they look at it as the number of copies per month, not per year. Isn't it?
Yes, it's monthly. Monthly. Mhm.
How over?
It's not huge, but it's
Double
a,
or?
no,
Okay.
no, it's enough to where I wanna say, hey, can we fix this? It's just,
Like them
I
or
don't,
internally?
It's like adding an additional data plan, so you know you only have
yeah,
1,000.
Yeah.
Megabytes, but you're using 1,200 megabytes. Let's see if
Exactly.
We can buy a 12.
I'm just also saying, can we maybe, as council, discuss go into less paper copies or something if we need to keep you within.
We
just
did go
so.
from none to all this now.
Yeah,
So,
so-
yeah, that
Let us know.
adds up.
And I
It
think,
adds up.
well, and again, being on the month, it's kind of difficult because here the next 2 months, we're gonna
Yeah.
print twice
I
as
know.
much paper
So
Like, this has to be
versus the rest of
printed.
the year. I mean, most of the time,
Yeah.
I can get by with my tablet and an agenda.
Same.
Yeah.
But some people like the paper, so it's.
I like it for budget type stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that,
You can do
I'm good
computer.
with looking at the electronic.
Well, maybe we should look into going a little bit less paper,
Mhm.
yeah.
Question for you on the telephone, because I know you've been working on tightening that up.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about when SCADA comes online, we might be able to get rid of cell phones that are functioning that. Is that accounted for in the budget for next year, dropping all of that?
I did not drop the water, wastewater, because those are charged to
To
them
Okay,
at this point. We are gonna be saving another $100. I did discover recently 2 phones. Excuse me, that I didn't realize that nobody had. I thought Marshall had one and he didn't. He's like, I don't have this. So there are 2 more, which is about $100 that'll come off of our first net. So our first net's gonna be down to, right now it's at $13.96 a month. We've dropped some. So that's gonna drop to roughly $1,300, okay? And our landlines are running $1,200 a month.
so I'd like to also just put something on the table that a lot of people have cell phones and landlines. And I don't necessarily, I don't know if everyone needs a cell phone who has a landline number, and I don't know if this has been brought up, but it's duplicative.
I don't have a cell phone, because I don't need it, I don't want it.
No, I think you're right. I mean.
We're
the-
spending money for,
The on-call
I just
people, the marshals, the fire chief. You know, why do clerks need an office phone and a cell phone?
Yeah.
If they're not at their office, you know, I do know Michelle has worked from home time and again. Do they really need, cause they shouldn't be giving out, they should be giving out the business phone. They don't need to give out their personal phones, and we don't. I see it.
there's also ways in which there's technology that if someone did need to work from home, we can
No.
have phones go to computers. and things
I know I
like that.
can forward, like, my wife forwards her work phone to her cell phone,
Yeah,
so it goes there, or it goes back to
it'd
their.
be cheaper to
voicemail.
reimburse for personal use
And I
occasionally.
have a digital service through my office, and I can call numbers on my cell phone with my office number.
Oh, really? It'll show as your office?
Yeah.
It shows my
Instead of
cell
from
phone, so I can
yourself.
call people I don't wanna give my cell phone out to.
Oh, that's,
And it's a lot cheaper, because you're not buying a line, you're buying.
That's what I was thinking about for mine personally, because I
That might be
never
something you might wanna
carry
think about, is switching to like a
I
digital
Yeah,
phone system,
never.
because then you can.
Your personal stuff?
And I don't ever have this, city one with me. So.
I never do.
The reason that we
I don't
have,
really.
That's,
need
I think for
mine.
council, it's important, so I don't eliminate that, because it's
The only-
Well, the
public
point being,
record.
could it be a rollover line to my, instead of a whole phone?
it could be, I mean, I think by now our phones are paid off because they're ancient, but,
We can get all new phones for like $1 a piece.
the reason that the council members have a cell phone is for public information requests. And so we wanna make sure that
It's all there. I get it.
you just have it, and that's the one they take from you and not your personal phone that
Yeah.
then have you do your work business and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so to help you with this here, just so you know,
Out there then.
water is $303 of this bill, and sewer is $172 of this bill. So there's almost 500
that we're getting
that
reimbursed.
is water and sewer.
Okay,
The balance is general fund,
okay,
okay? So, I mean, I can tell you by department what we're running. You know, admin is just under 200, 190. Planning and zoning, I'm assuming we're gonna have 1 phone, maybe. We don't have any right now. You know, so that would roughly be 50. Fire is 50, library doesn't have one, Marshall has laptops, 5 laptops in a cell, so his is $260 a month.
But those are the data that runs your,
Or in-car.
yeah.
Yeah, they're laptops, all that. Streets, his phone's 62. And the balance, well, there's one Public Works on-call phone for $50, and then the balance, 322 is you guys. So,
I know it's not soon, but I'd like to maybe do a little pool and see if we could get rid of that, at least some admin cell phones that are
okay, so that would be
duplicative.
4 phones. Okay,
And if there's any other, you've been doing a great job getting rid of the frivolous phones, so I appreciate
What,
that.
what about P and Z
I was gonna put one in there. For
for
hopefully a
future?
development
hire?
director. Was the
But
only
also
one.
has a landline.
Yeah, there will be a
Okay.
landline, yeah,
And that one I'm okay with because you could be going out in the field with a developer.
Absolutely.
And you could be doing
Yeah.
this and,
yeah.
you know, I think all field employees.
Every little bit helps, so I'd like to consider that cut. And then,
So that will reduce another 200, so that'll take FirstNet, so from 14 to like 11.
So in trainings and meetings, you've budgeted 3,000. Who does that cover? Or what does that cover?
That covers all administrative staff. Michelle's taking a training right now. I typically just go to like AIC conference and stuff. So it's just a few $100. I mean, that could be reduced. I mean, it's just, I really get a lot out of going to
Oh,
this small, but I don't do the big.
And there's also some things that they can work on, so like, you know, although Michelle's already a certified clerk, we need to get them to get the classes to get a certified clerk, and they wanna work to that. If there's other things, I think there should be some money in there for professional development, and whether it is AIC or the clerks, conference. It's well spent, if it's even just networking alone, I think it's worth money spent.
That's not part of like Casell training and stuff like that,
No,
but, yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I have to say, I did go to the AIC conference, Chris was there, and it was really good. And, I get a lot out of that kind of thing,
Nice.
yeah, especially with the networking and making the connections with everyone. And
Yeah.
and I got some things that I didn't know on like Percy and stuff like that by going to that this
Yeah.
week.
Very cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're the movers and shakers of the bunch, so. So where are we at? We're,
Just a quick question for you on your next round.
yes,
Will we be able to see, because our next meeting will be in July, we'll be able to see the actuals kind of through, just so we know where we landed through the end of June.
yes,
So
yeah,
there's
I
a,
would like to do that, because we're at the end of the month now.
yeah,
So I can
Great.
update that by another month.
that way if we need to finance, I know it's silly, but like
Yeah.
500 here, 1,000 here,
Yeah.
like we could just do these micro things. That
Yeah.
could help in the end, once we kind of see what our
Yeah,
actuals for this year were.
and I might try to separate, office supplies from actual cleaning supplies, that's all lumped together, and I just don't like that.
Okay.
Especially if we evaluate our cleaning services.
Yeah,
Are they get, the cleaning service is gonna provide certain supplies, I mean, I understand having paper towels and TP on hand, but.
And a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
we bought a new vacuum this last year, so.
And do we have an actual storage unit?
yes,
We do, and it leaks. It has destroyed a lot of documents that were
Yeah.
in there.
Hmm.
It needs to be cleaned out, and I don't know if we can store in, at the wastewater plant. I've been told there's storage pods there.
there's Conex, I think we have a room in, but, Yeah, we can evaluate, we do need a storage area because we have to have certain documents for so long.
Yeah.
And then be held on, and electronics sometimes just doesn't cut it, but, when Michelle came on board, she went down there and stuff was just lumped into basically your paper boxes, not even saran wrapped or sealed environmentally, but then just stacked in there with no particular order. And her husband went down, they pulled everything out, and she organized quite a bit of it, but it's
Wow.
still a hot mess down there.
Yeah.
Wow. What about, do we have any space to put something on this lot that could store it?
If we wanted
Just
to,
what I do,
Just
just like I do, like put a shed out there.
I mean, I think we're tight enough in the wintertime with the snow coming off the back of this. But we have room down at the treatment plant. We do have property around. We can put it over by the fire station.
Yeah,
as a-
over by the fire station. Might be just nice to have our own little facility that we have our QDO and
Maybe
can
it doesn't
manage.
leak, 'cause that sounds bad right there.
Yeah.
I know it's small, but something to look into.
Can I just interject?
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, the library, I forced it to, even though they're not part of the city, but through the city budget, we went to the surplus supply in Boise, and we bought containers that are housed on the wastewater property for our own storage, because the library was paying for storage at the storage facility.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you purchase a storage container and make sure it's like sound, it's not gonna leak or whatever, that is an option.
And we can get
Yeah, it's
containers.
And
We
they're
can-
used, they were a good price, they were within my budget, my
Yeah.
budget's small, so.
You know, Casey's very good at using the exchange or the auctions and government auctions and stuff. And we can find stuff and with our flatbed and stuff, we could easily take the 5,500 over there, load up a Connex, strap it down and bring it back.
Yeah, that's what we did with ours.
And so, and we have room, it's just the inconvenience of driving the 5.5 miles down there. And then is it just gonna be boxes stacked up upon boxes? So it just really, it's one cave versus another, and a
At
cave
least
that,
one on your
yeah,
property
it's a
that
cave on our
will pay
property.
us, it will cost us less over time.
Yeah,
Well,
It's
right
just
now,
a-
it's only an 800 a year.
Yeah, but
So,
every year.
but it is something I think that, both Michelle and I have talked about, that, I mean, that storage unit is not doing us any good
No.
in terms of what it's supposed to,
Usefulness.
so, yeah,
Okay.
so at some point, we need to deal with it. Service contracts, that's the mountain rides and mountain humane. Mountain rides was 12 this year. I just put a little extra in there. I didn't know if they're gonna bump that up again.
Okay.
Do we have any clue about mountain rides?
after their build and the match or the in-kind match that we gave them, I have not heard of any increase for mountain rides, but I think the marshal has something to say about the mountain.
Yeah. Is that an additional contract on top of the one that I'm paying for?
I need to look. No, it's the 1,000 for the,
Then it's
Yeah.
in my budget. It's
Yeah.
be in there all.
yeah, so I could change that.
Maybe that could be like
13.
Unless you
And
want
that's
to
just
just
an
take mine
annual
off.
expense, right? If we just- We're paid up to, for the year. We won't
Yeah,
see
we're
that
paid.
go up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Let's,
that's done for this year.
Okay.
let's actually do that. Let's leave the
The
mountain
mountain
humane
humane,
contract services under admin and take it off the
Marshall. Okay,
That's the bigger deficit
okay.
between the two.
This year we added some safety equipment. We added the first aid, fire extinguishers. So we've spent out of admin $400. I didn't know. I know that they're supposed to be only on call, but I'll just guarantee you there'll be some charge this next year.
Okay.
So that's why I put $300 in there.
Service solutions.
Yeah,
Well, I can make it.
I don't know how often he comes up, but I've had to let him in a couple times on Fridays.
yeah. And the fire extinguishers, there's cost there. with
Oh, yeah.
Inspecting those. So that's why I just put $300 in safety for that. So, page 3 is basically capital. The only capital I put in for admin was, a new computer. I do know that my computer, mine right now is the oldest one we're running. And the IT guy said that we need to, budget for each year to replace, so that you don't get caught with all of them all at
Yeah.
once.
think
I
that's
know
smart.
that we just did Marcy, Maria's, and,
One of mine.
you got a new one.
Yeah, one
You
of
got
mine.
one new one, so, yeah, I put computers in most of the budgets. So this one, was anticipating would probably be my computer.
You may wanna think, just put a note to get one for, planning and zoning, because.
Yeah.
Yours has gotta be at least 5 years old now.
I was gonna do that out of this budget because there's money there for this.
Okay.
I was gonna pull that out of there.
Okay.
So, the admin one's the only one that looks really good in terms of, it doesn't go, yeah, it did. It got better than the first draft that I gave you. Any other comments on admin? Hey, buildings and grounds. This one's changing a little bit, going up, because we're trying to be more realistic about, actual expenses, that are buildings and grounds and not necessarily other things that have been charged and covered in other departments. And as you saw about last time we looked at the buildings and grounds, payroll worksheet, we're figuring 16% of total time spent on buildings and grounds per year, split by 2 employees. And then, Casey suggested that we add him as half that much as administration on that. So that's where we came up with a, wages of just under $11,000 for buildings and grounds, which, ends up totaling almost 13, 12,886, there on the sheet. So that's where, and I know there is a little different in my, I'll figure out that difference, but basically roughly a $13,000 payroll out of buildings and grounds. And operating expenses, contract labor is basically the landscape services, that all went up this year. I don't know what their intent is for next year, but we had to scramble a little bit to cover the contract this year. And it came out of parks and buildings and grounds.
You know that probably one of their major costs is fuel, and since fuel is continuing to go up, we're gonna continue to see that rise, so.
Yeah. So that's why I mean, I didn't put a whole lot extra there, but a little bit. If we pay that contract up front, we get a discount.
Is this with
So-
Clearwater?
Yes, it is. So this year, for example, we paid them up front, so we would get the discount. And then we don't have to deal with the monthly billings either.
That's
It's
nice.
just
The
done.
discount's great.
Yeah,
There just might be a less expensive company out there that could do this. Maybe it's worth shopping.
well, it also might be a good thing when we're going to shop snow removal, because we're gonna shop a new contract.
Office, you know,
And so Clearwater might be willing to, since we do
Mhm.
with them, I'd like to see what they might do for us snow wise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that, I mean, do you want to
Yes.
talk to somebody else?
I think it makes sense when you're
Always good.
shopping snow to
Yeah.
try and group
Combine it.
landscaping with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Geico bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bundle.
500 a month,
Yes,
does
we're
that
paying,
equal $8,000?
what is, don't ask me to do math right now, because,
56,
yeah,
500.
6 of the 8 is labor. Is what I'm saying right there.
Have we gotten a quote for outside cleaning
No.
services?
Diane and I talked about this. Have you reached out to anyone?
I have not. I will.
What is, I mean, okay,
I'd like to bring that down by 20,000.
And which one are you talking about?
Maintenance and
Maintenance
repairs, the
repair.
cleaning,
and buildings and
making
grounds,
sure we're getting.
that's where our
quality
office cleaning
service.
comes out of?
Yeah.
I might try to shuffle a little bit if I can get the office separated from cleaning, and some of that cleaning stuff might come over to B and G.
Okay. The
So,
supplies.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, into supplies.
Yep.
So that might change a little bit as I get to that sheet. If you're okay with that?
It seems like supplies are already higher on here, so did you already allocate for that, or is that? different?
No, no,
Okay.
I just allocated for, everything has gotten more expensive.
Okay.
Everything is just super,
So, just so I understand, we have 10,000 in admin plus 8,000 in building and grounds for cleaning.
Yeah, you've got office supplies
that's office supplies, and we essentially spent that this year so far.
office
It
and cleaning.
includes the cleaning supplies.
It
without the
includes,
Service, it's the supplies.
This is just the labor is the six of
Okay.
this.
So let's see.
We did have a different cleaning service for many,
For
many
what?
years. And I think that that's worth shopping for that as well. And seeing if we can't get something better, and I will reach out to that person.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the admin one, supplies. We're
Only supplies.
only supplies,
Sorry, I didn't get
Yeah.
into that.
yeah,
Okay.
and that one, there's another $100 waiting for me to approve upstairs, well order, so, yeah. I have broken down utilities. So for gas, we're currently through May at 13. We budgeted 18, but we're averaging 19, 15 a month. That's taking 7 or 8 months and just taking 13 and divide it, and that's basically what we're,
Wow.
and that's how I got 24. And then power, we're averaging almost 600 a month. And trash, without the recycling, is 3. If the recycling
Without
would,
recycling.
yes,
Okay.
it would have been 7 to 8 with the
Yeah.
recycling.
Thank you for checking that out.
Yeah,
Sorry, recycling /
yeah.
incidental garbage.
So 47,000, so roughly 48 for operating expenses for building and grounds. We do have I don't even know how long it goes. You probably should look at it, but we have our museum, our lease expense over there.
We just look to make sure there's no increase that we're not accounting for on that lease.
Yeah. So there's no capital in buildings and grounds at all here. Nothing, if there's something major. Yeah. Moving on.
Just buildings and ground, have an LGIP fund.
No.
Okay.
Community development. Income wise, I played a little bit with this because I broke down building permits.
Great.
I broke them down so we can track encroachments, fence, roof, and manufactured home set downs and, because we had 2 of those last year. I know we have 1 coming this year so far, so, because we pay the Division of Building and Safety based on building permits and roof permits. So having it all mixed up was making it difficult to, I've spent more time trying to do a dang spreadsheet on this whole thing to account for the amounts we pay to Division of Building and Safety. So basically on that building permit number, we pay 45% to DBS. I personally would like us, I don't know if we can research, if we piggyback with another city and for inspections and reduce the amount that we pay to them, because all inspections go through the Division of Building and Safety, so.
Is that county?
No, it's a state.
State.
State, yeah.
We have obvious non-compliance in the permit category because I've seen multiple fences go up.
You see what?
Multiple fences
Oh,
go
yeah,
up
yeah,
and roofs done, and I'm not seeing any permits being allocated in the last fiscal year.
I just got mine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, good job. Way to set an example.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll see, I
Can I
took
borrow
the,
that one?
I might need it too.
Oh,
Then
boy.
I
Oh, boy.
took in revenues up from 85.5 last year to 101.5 for P and Z this year.
Okay,
Okay, the building permit plan review fee is based on the building permit fee because it's 65% of that, of which 45% is paid to Division of Building and Safety. So those are tied together. I just put numbers in.
are our sign permits a yearly thing that have to be renewed? It's not a one-time thing, is
No.
it?
It's one
It's a
time.
one-time
One-time.
thing.
Hmm.
So
Food
it's
for
only
thought.
for new, new signs,
signs.
new.
Just, when you renew your business license, you could renew a sign permit.
And what about random people throwing out their own signs with, I know they want kids to slow down their neighborhood, or there's cats, but they throw a sandwich board out there and, or one of those little green kids with a flag on it.
I don't believe any of those are permitted.
They
Good
do
for enforcement.
encroach.
Yeah.
We should charge them any permit.
Just a thought, I know it's not
Considered
budgetary. What could we do for education around encroachment permits, fence permits, roof permits? I think there
I
is,
think a code enforcement.
yeah. I think the
education.
fact that a lot of those, we're not seeing what we should be in terms of
Yeah.
permit income. And I
Oh,
think that's
definitely.
just showing us that education enforcement is gonna be an important part of this next fiscal year to make sure we meet the
Mhm.
Yeah.
income necessary for P and Z.
Do we still have an encroachment permit, or not encroachment, temporary business license for like the weekend guy that shows up at Silver Dragon with his van full of fruit and vegetables?
Not that I've ever seen.
For the food truck guys.
We do have that license,
For the vendors.
yeah, for the
Okay, and the
vendors,
food truck that pops up and all those
Yeah.
things, okay.
but next time you're on the weekend and you see those guys over there, you might wanna ask them.
And I've never seen that permit.
Let's track it down.
Yeah, we do have that, I know that. It's like a temporary business license or something like that.
So I just realized I have encroachment permits have been going to streets.
Okay.
Okay, so I have 1,000 budgeted into streets. Yeah, we probably should scratch this from
Pansy.
CD, yeah. That it won't, because those go to streets.
Okay.
Okay,
When was that?
Encroachment.
permits.
41805, scratch that from CD,
I mean, how do you know if you would need a fence permit? I'm just curious because
People they don't
I
know.
mean, I wouldn't have known that.
9 times out of 10, it's when they show up and say, hey, you need a
Do you
permit.
I mean, there was one that just went on Main Street.
So you,
Yeah.
On Main Street, there's
you
none.
you need one if you're doing
Someone, a
perimeter
property on Main
fence,
Street just put a fence in.
so you can identify your pins, where your fence goes. But like, when I did mine and I cross-sectioned my garden and a few other things that were inside that one would not need a fence permit. But I asked my community development coordinator at the time.
So any
Gave you
thoughts
good info.
on P and Z income there?
Let's increase it. With compliance. I think it looks,
I mean, I
Good.
took what was 50 and made it 61.5.
I mean, we've really only brought in $150 on signs this year. Seems
That
crazy.
cannot be right.
I've seen
That's what
so
I'm
many
saying,
new signs.
we have severe compliance issues
No, we do. I mean,
that we need to
it's-
address.
Remember, this is only through May. There's
I know,
more
but
stuff in
there's,
June, but yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I
wild.
wonder if it's like even a reach out to like the sign printer people and be like.
It's a reach out to
"Can I
business
remind you?"
owners, it's a reach out to homeowners.
It
it's
needs to go
education.
on to,
It needs to be
the
part of the,
business
the,
permit.
the business permit, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't have signage.
and
Yeah.
so it just goes,
Are you
here's your
going to
business
have-
permit for this fee. If you have a sign, here's your sign permit fee.
When some signs like that have gone up recently
Yeah,
were
replacement signs, right?
kind of quote unquote permitted last year.
Mm.
And just never done
Mm.
in
Or
that
they didn't-
fiscal
Or
year.
they didn't get them.
Yeah.
And are they
in
supposed
that
to
fiscal
display
year.
their?
I'd like to
permit
consider a
in the
yearly
business
sign fee,
software?
but that's
The
just me.
business license?
Hmm?
Are they supposed to display their sign permit along with their business license?
Absolutely not.
And that might be a good opportunity for whomever to walk in and say, I just introduced myself and make sure you have all your licenses. And I see you have a sign.
And
Again, code enforcement.
let's get through budget and then August, we're gonna go back through all permits and fees.
Great.
Okay,
One thing
so,
at a time, okay, all right.
It's the only thing I can do right now. Baby steps, baby steps.
so I wanted to point out in CV, P and Z this year, see the little grade section in payroll. We're actually gonna be, as I predict, about 56,000 under what we budgeted because of changes and
Mhm.
everything, so. But directly to the left is the payroll budget. Now, based on a couple conversations I had today, because we are interviewing a community, a development director,
Mhm.
I took the planner off to help save money.
I like that.
I took the planner out this year.
We were able to function with two.
Yeah.
It was a big workload, but we were able to get it done. So I don't think we need three.
So-
And I spoke with, council president. If we get a community development director, we have Amy, and then if there's stuff that comes over and beyond the need, or we get backloaded, we can still revert back to Great West for our,
Yeah.
to just stay on top of it, stay ahead of it. And I think that's viable until next year, and see if we get to the point where we need another P and Z, if we get both these annexations rolling at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start looking that way.
Workers' comp went down, but retirement went up.
Some of the workers' comp rates went down. For office staff, it's nominal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nominal.
$58 seems really low.
It does, I know. It's based on fiscal year
Yes, yeah,
twenty-four
Yeah, yeah.
payroll. So predicting my fiscal year twenty-four payroll is gonna be under 36,000. So that's what we'll be paying for
Next year.
this department for next year.
Yeah.
And then the next year it'll go up,
Uh-huh.
so. DBS contract labor. We paid 31,000 in fiscal year 23. 45% of building permits and roof permits, plus 45% of plan review fees. And so that's how I got that, based on those other numbers. I got the 40,000.
And that's a number that we negotiated with DBS, that percentage.
Yes, and I know that wasn't very long ago, I think that. I was not involved in that. So, but that's what I would love to know, if we can reduce by joining with another city with inspections.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's other people up here doing inspections.
I think Haley uses DBS, don't they?
I think,
So he's catching.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think everybody does.
Except for the
Carrie
county.
doesn't. I think Carrie has a guy, but I don't know.
They got a guy.
Yeah.
So do you think that expense is high, or do you think that's on?
Well,
Right.
that's based on the numbers up above. that
Okay.
I plugged in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I do have 2 cells in here, so I should probably take that down to 1 cell phone, so the phone will change. Okay. Update that. I didn't put near as much training in here because I didn't know. I didn't know what there is. I mean, do we need to boost this a little bit to send Amy to some training?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Okay,
I
that's what I
also,
was wondering.
and as a previous planner, do you guys have like a association of Idaho planners? Or anything that you need membership dues to?
There's the APA, the American Planning Association, is what they
Cause
are.
that's, I mean, dues and membership at
And that was
$100.
an annual membership fee. It wasn't a lot. It was like maybe 40 or 50 bucks, but
Okay,
So what do you want me to boost the training and travel to?
I would say at least 500, if not 1,000.
I was thinking 1,000.
Okay,
If needed, with training and meetings, I know you have separated out travel expense, but there's a way to kind of,
We can shift that.
we can
money.
shift around
so,
within those,
so you
right?
want me to do a total of 1,000?
Or I was just thinking 1,000 in training and keeping 300
Okay, I'll do that.
for now.
Okay. The professional engineering, I spent a lot of time with this spreadsheeting it too. And as you all know, we were not billing our clients very timely in the past. So I have gotten caught up with that. And so the hard part in figuring this out is we have the fiscal year 24 expenses, but we also pay in arrears the engineering fees and stuff so a lot of September was paid in this fiscal year. So there's years crossover. So basically what I have concluded is we've spent about 30,000 so far this year on professional engineering. Out of that, 4,200 has been just for general admin support, so not a lot. And the balance has been billed to our customers. So it was really hard to spreadsheet it all because there's several invoices out there pending that are not paid and all that, but basically, the majority of those bills are proper to bill to customers. So that's where I got to reducing this engineering here. I don't know if I've slashed too much or if you want more in there just for other projects that, you know, it's so hard for me to predict this. I mean, I have, you know,
Let's leave it where it is.
printout.
I think you did a good job of rationalizing why you slashed it.
I think my only concern would be, since we do have additional annexation, or we do have an annexation application in, that's where I think we spent the most money in 2022 is when we started doing
Okay,
Strayhorn and the engineering requirements for there. So,
so maybe we should bump this up then.
Well, we have a $50,000 deposit from the southern annexation, it's supposed to pay for all that.
all right, then we're good.
Well, some of that's already been used.
Oh,
I have a spreadsheet on that.
But yeah.
I can't tell you
but
how
they're-
much, it's
they're supposed to
nominal.
Pay for everything on that.
Yeah, but as long as that would, yeah, as long as it's covered, but that's all I was wanting to say is that we're gonna see more engineering services due to that southern annexation.
and that's gonna have to be paid by the developer.
I think you're correct in that, you know,
We still have
there's
to
admin fees,
show that
but
we have revenue coming in for it and revenue going out for it, so.
Should I change that to 15, just to, I mean, or 20? I mean,
Well, if we're gonna add to it, we gotta show where we're getting the money to come from. So if we already got a 50,000, but that comes in, that's in this current budget, so that's gonna be more or less a carryover. I just leave it where it's at, but we gotta be mindful of,
yeah, there's not cushion there as such, if something,
Yeah, because those annexations shouldn't cost the city money.
but we get the invoices and we have to show where things are coming in and where things are going out. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
it'll
saying.
show up next year as a revenue because we're gonna bill that $50,000 account. So, but we still don't know how much.
and then, I did put one more computer in there for next fiscal year. Cause I think Amy will eventually need one, she's on an old one right now.
The other one was 2,000, this is 3,000.
Yeah, I just was, I'm gonna buy the, I don't know, just put, I just don't understand.
Are we under estimating building
that
permits?
Yeah. I'm sorry, what's that?
Are we estimating building permits going into next year? If we're talking about the annexations and stuff.
I
don't
don't think
think
so,
so.
because the
Okay.
problem is. All the building permits out right now, by the time they complete one house, and they move to another, there just isn't enough builders to build houses faster.
And the other thing too, with those annexations, there's
No
gonna
one's
be
building
a
yet.
lot of infrastructure that's gonna have to be done before anybody is buying a lot and, you know. Well, yeah, I mean, there's all the infrastructure and then, you know, it will be a phased development, and so each phase will, you know, need their own have their own set of needs.
And so, if you just take Strayhorn, for example, they started putting infrastructure in 2020. And now we're going into 2024, 2025. They've got 30 of the 42 houses put in, and then they've just got the infrastructure in for phase 2.
Yeah.
So,
It's a slow process.
And there's no other community development P and Z income streams that we haven't explored.
That's correct. As far as I know. I don't believe so, though.
That Strayhorn phase 2 stuff should start coming in. It's more building.
Well, all those lots are up for sale now, so.
Where do the
we
impact fees go? Where do the impact fees end up?
They're their own kind of being, and I guess I need to do that.
I thought I saw a page in here with development impact.
It's
fees
in
on
the
it.
revenue, what did I do? I did,
Because those are calculated at the time the building permit is called.
they're on your at a glance page. And, you know, I called Jasmine, asked her how they got last year's number of, I think it was 66,000 or something. And we're at 13 this year, and
So they're on
she did not give me a real good number, or reason why. So I just, I picked a number. Just based on, if we don't have it high enough in our revenue, then we can't utilize the excess. So that's why it went up a little bit in terms of, not that we're gonna be using those funds this year, because we only have just under 100,000 total. We can't do a whole lot, and then, you know, it's broken down by departments.
Is that number too low then, or? too high?
So,
She has it at 39,000.
it's 3 times where we're sitting right now.
Diane, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I don't, I mean, if someone has some wisdom on this, I welcome it. Because,
We can still accept the income,
oh yeah,
just double check.
yeah.
Good question.
So I tried to just go with a little bit more aggressive, but not as aggressive as it was last year. Okay, are we done with P and Z? Can we jump to library? Kristen has kids at home. And then we'll come back to fire.
It's so easy, so easy.
She's easy. Hers is easy. Do we still have Greg there? Yeah. Greg, we'll get to you next. Okay, most of these numbers, other than payroll, I did, but most of it came directly from Kristen, so. Except for things like, you know, I plug in liability insurance and
I just have a quick question. Where's that 11
It's in the Friends of the Library account,
Friends of Library?
Yeah.
Thank you.
our 501c3.
Thank you.
So most of the income that I receive from the library does not go to the city because it comes in the forms of grants and donations to our 501c3. So libraries just aren't big money makers in general. Charging people late fees, $100 extra for a year, not gonna really do much. You cannot by law charge people to become a member of the library unless they live out of this
Library.
the city, out of the city. So you know, I don't make a lot of income. I've brought in a lot of income through the 501c3. However, it's not really, those are mostly earmarked for educational purposes, not city kind of oversight. So just a FYI, if you don't understand it, you can ask me more about it. But yeah. So, but I will say, since last year and the big push for the library, we have done really well this year monetarily, so. Even as far as donations that do come into the city, because not everyone knows we have a 501c3. So those, that's why, in the donations line, if we could carry over, I would like to, because those are donations earmarked specifically for the library. And I haven't had carryover in the past couple of years on our donation line. It's gone back into the general fund. So I'd like to see the library retain that money if we could. If we can't, then it'll roll into the general fund. So yeah, but let me know, because I can spend it.
we can all send it.
I know.
In general, if we do have carryover, I would like to try to keep it in the departments that it came from. So,
Yeah, and our only really, there are some, I mean, I can cut in almost every line item, but it's not gonna add up to a lot. Cause we're less than 3% of the budget, so, but if I need to, and I can do that for you guys. Just, you know, tell me if you want me to cut. The only thing I can't really cut is the computer software. Because our ebook service costs us a lot of money to be able to provide that to the community. I mean, $3,000 is a lot to me, so.
I was just gonna ask if the service went up or if we need more of it or.
No, it's a consortium, so all the libraries that are in the service for this area pay a fee into it based on our checkouts through the service, so, yeah. So like Haley pays more than we do.
What is the increase just in the, or the 14, the dues and memberships? Is that different? So that's different than the Libby computer software?
Oh, yeah, that's for professional dues and memberships, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
For me, for the library staff. I can cut that if you want me to. I can't cut liability insurance.
What-
But I
Was
can,
there a reason that you did double that though? Is there something
what is it?
to,
Oh, I
the
think
dues and
this
memberships?
past year I was planning on going to a lot more trainings and they're usually in Boise. And just being a one-man show over there, I just can't take the time to.
Yeah.
Well, we have training separate from dues and memberships.
Oh.
Yeah,
Dues and memberships.
Is double what
it's at 1,400 and we
Yeah.
you only spent 233.
Yeah, we
This
can
year.
totally lower that.
What's
You
a
can
good
lower
number?
that to say 350 if you want. I don't even know why that went up that high.
That's because 24, they budgeted there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a little more in trainings and meetings then for fiscal year?
I
Yeah,
do
25?
not.
250 should be sufficient.
Yeah,
okay.
cause the most of the ones that I go to are put on by the Idaho Commission for Libraries and they have scholarships.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
The cost of library books, and we went over this last year, has gone up. Of course, hardcover books are very expensive. I try to buy, I buy a lot of used books already. But I could bring that down if you need me to. Library programs, again, cost of when you have, like 75 preschoolers here and we're making a different craft every week, the cost of craft supplies has gone up, but I could drop that down too. Just let me
Blue's
know what you
delicious.
wanna see.
I think that dues and memberships was a nice help.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps right there.
Okay, perfect. And I don't need a new computer for next year, so if you need that money, you can take it out. I will eventually need a new computer at some point, but my computer is like maybe 2 or 3 years old, so it's
Okay.
not that bad, so. I like having it in there, but if you need to cut it, you totally can. I'm pretty minimalistic anyway, so.
Well, it would be the only like cushion you have,
Yeah,
would
exactly.
be that.
Exactly. So, if you need to keep it in there, that's great.
Let's just switch it from a computer to, can we put just as a capital or is
Or
there
miscellaneous.
miscellaneous? That way you can have flexibility. It doesn't necessarily have to be a
Yeah, I could
computer.
just move it to miscellaneous.
Can we put it back to 1,000? Is that 15?
Can we loop back then, for the computer software and subs, that line item, we have that at 3,000.
That's for the Libby book of,
That's for Libby plus,
That's the- Yeah,
to be able to check out books, I have to use library software.
Okay,
So that's,
Different than
that's a necessity.
okay, 3,000 is where we have that at. Okay,
So it's basically, I'm gonna say like 1,500 for each, basically.
Is that like an annual thing then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so we pay it
or,
annually.
biannual, twice a year, I think, they bill it out.
how many
We've only
books?
paid
$40. And maybe there's just some misaccounting then, because
what,
it's saying she's only paid $40 out.
Oh, yeah, because they charge in the summer. They
Okay.
usually charge in June.
Okay,
So it is.
so
just
it'll be
once a year.
updated for the next printout.
gotcha.
So just for a reference, how many Libby books are available?
Oh.
Yeah.
Thousands.
1
Okay.
million.
Amazing.
There's not just books, there's magazines, there's comic books, there's
So
audiobooks.
What we're paying 1,500 a year for versus
Yeah.
the new library books that we get in, we get in 100 brand new hardback library books versus
1,000.
having 100,000
Yes,
books and magazines available.
yes,
So
but, yeah,
let's look at it in those terms, and I think it,
but
I was just making sure
not
it's-
everybody either
correct.
has a device to read on or wants to read on a device. Yeah.
So to get those books, you have to go to the library to check them out,
The Libby
even
books.
that, yeah.
You
You have to go to the library and set up an account with me, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's an app. A free app to
Good to
the
know.
patron, so everybody could get on Libby.
Yeah.
so I guess
That's good information.
you just have to kind of pre-plan though, because sometimes the books are on hold. So it
Yeah,
takes
it's-
three to
yeah.
6 weeks sometimes or
The
longer.
digital books are
Yes,
available?
it still
And
works
you only
like a
get X
library,
amount.
so there's a waiting list.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
fascinating.
So if it's a bestseller,
There's
say I'm
only-
just gonna use Spare, and everyone wants to read about Prince William and his life, right? So there are 75 people in line in just our consortium waiting for that book. So, or you could go to the library and I have 2 hardcovers.
So is there a time?
And
I'm
one
a
was
paper and
donated,
hard-
Yeah, you only have
That's
so
what
many
I
weeks
Yeah.
to read it, so
Yeah.
you have like 2 weeks to
2
read it.
weeks,
Yeah.
it's just like the
Just
library.
But you get a
Yeah.
license, so each book is basically a license that the consortium has, and so depending on the popularity of the book, they only get so many licenses of that book.
Yes.
So they can only lend out so many copies at a time, and so,
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
and I don't even read.
I was gonna say that.
Well versed.
You're well
Yes.
versed. I don't even read.
Carl does the ebook, or
So if you're doing Libby, go back a year to what was popular last year. It should be available.
Awesome.
Just be
Okay,
behind
thanks
the
for that
times.
update on the.
I was just
how
gonna
to
ask
check
for
out
my
a
own
book.
understanding,
Uh-huh.
what, the funds that go into the Friends of the Library,
Mhm.
what are those used for?
Well, they're usually earmarked for like educational purposes or kids, but the board, my board
Uh-huh.
decides where that
Okay.
money goes. Yeah,
Cool, thank you.
you're welcome. I know it's confusing.
Anything else on library? Okay, go back to fire, please.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Don't shut me down while I'm not here.
Oh, boy.
And Ashley's getting more more donations.
I don't know, do we need the press?
Okay, so Greg has requested that carry over the 1,027 funds. I don't even remember what these are for, Greg, do you know?
So I don't have the budget in front of me. Nobody sent it to me and I'm in Oregon, but somebody donated the, whatever the amount was for the fire department.
Okay,
So no, I don't know what they're for. They didn't request to, spend it any certain way or anything that I can recall.
they go back to at least 23, so.
Okay. Again, especially if they're donated specifically to the fire department, I have no problem with them being carried over.
I did increase fire department fees significantly in hopes that we can start charging some fire department inspection fees.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanna go there or what.
I think we do.
I support it.
Yeah, I think everybody says, if we have a fee for it and we haven't been using it, we need to start using it and collecting it and doing the service, so.
Okay. Payroll, now. It's in everything with the full-time at that rate, per the payroll sheet. So I guess I need to know how we want to move forward with payroll for fire.
When Greg gets back from vacation, we're gonna talk about, the options to go into a full-time. I wanna understand where he feels he'll have spending his full-time, if he'll have enough work to do full-time, if we look at other options, that can help add to that fund, like in code enforcement, if Greg picks up, at least the initial door knock, here's the problem, here's your notification of being notified.
With you.
But, and then if it has to escalate, then we can bring in the marshals if needed, but to have someone going around saying, hey, here's the code, here's the deficiency, we need you to fix it, you have 30 days. It would be nice, and that could add funds to the full-time position. That if we can't come to a number that he likes and, show that he can do, enough hours, we may have to still consider, a part-time or keep the status quo.
Okay, so we're putting that a pin in that.
Mhm.
Okay, come July, I'm gonna hit panic. Okay,
We'll know in the first meeting.
okay. On to expenses. I did put the contingency in here for him. For example, we had $40,000 truck repair this year.
Mhm.
I know 10 doesn't cover that, but at least it's a little bit of something.
Why is fire inspections contract labor?
That is for, contracting with the assistant fire chief to do inspections when he's not available. He
Oh,
does inspections too. They both do.
Can we not schedule him when he is available? Just maybe being a little conscious of that.
200 of that is actually, moved from another line item that was called pending grants or something. So.
Now, which one are you looking at, the contract labor?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, that contract labor could go away if we had a full-time chief too, that could, so that's just one to
Mhm.
put a check mark on.
Did you do shifting between M&R equipment and autos? A little bit,
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
probably shuffled a little bit there.
okay.
And I reduced a little bit, because if you'll see,
Mhm.
we're at 8, 9 right now total
Between the two, yeah.
between the two.
Yeah.
What are those miscellaneous expenses?
You know what, I couldn't tell you for sure right now what that is. But that again, miscellaneous is one of those that can be, unplanned things. Which that's pretty minimal.
Yeah,
Doesn't fit into a categorized item. Miscellaneous.
Do you think we could tighten up training and meeting and travel expense just a little bit?
No. That budget is exactly the same as last year or this current year. I hardly raised anything. Shifted.
This year you spent 50% of what you budgeted on training and meetings and travel expense. Do you see that being status quo? Or do you feel like you'll do more trainings, meetings and travels next year?
That's weird to do that too.
It's not much I'm talking about, I'm talking about 1,000 to 1,500, so
Yeah.
that's all, I'm just asking, it's just a
Yeah.
small cut.
No, I mean, it was budgeted for
Much more.
3,200, he's used 1,000. I think asking for 2,000, he's made the cut.
No, it's nothing, library, everyone's micro cutting right
Yeah.
now, I mean, it's silly, but,
I split the 3,500 between trainings and
Yeah.
travel.
so he still has 3,500.
When they do trainings and travel, it's usually a group of them going to the fire academy.
Gotcha.
So theirs could be a little more spending.
Okay.
Which I hope, they need some recruits.
Yeah.
They need them.
I don't understand pending grants being an expense.
That's, that was for grant writing supposedly, so that I put 200 in the contract labor.
Oh, grant writing.
Yeah, it's just, that's,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that's why I'm getting rid of that line item. What are investigations?
Cause of the fire.
What are investigations?
Yeah, I mean, it's only $150. What is that for?
Well, there's materials that we use. Sometimes we have to get outside help that isn't free, usually we use the states. It's $150. Take it out of there if you need $150.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I was just
And I'll
wondering
put
if it was
this one-
too low.
Well, it haven't had to use it, so I haven't changed it.
Okay. Radio fees were not budgeted, so they're put back in. Basically,
Nice.
$20 a month, yeah. That's kind of across the board with streets marshal and these guys. Radio fees was never really done.
Hmm.
In the back of your section on fire, there is a list of capital. There's a list of capital items that Greg wants. Is it there?
Yep.
Okay.
This-
In my tinkering, reduced it from 40 to 30. I don't know what you mean. I was just trying to save a little bit. So you guys need to tell me what you want to do there.
So this year we any of that, so we're behind the 8 ball. So you reduced it, Shelley, to 30?
I did just for this draft. I'm looking for input.
Well, mine, keep it at 40 or bump it up to 50 because we didn't get it this year.
I had it, I know I had it, I was looking at it earlier, sorry.
I probably have one here somewhere. Here, here's one.
What was it, $11,000 in asphalt? Put that there?
Yes, on the Main Street side of his building, stop me if I'm wrong. There's a big, drop between the building and coming out with the trucks on the asphalt there that needs to be redone. And he's already got a quote on it. So he wanted to put that in there.
Not something we outsource, we don't do in-house,
Yeah, we can't do
too-
asphalt.
too massive, okay.
I don't believe we have any equipment.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that, no.
We got water, a wheelbarrow and a shovel. Start mixing.
And that is in the alleyway and it is a quote for asphalt. And I thought it should fall under buildings and grounds, like all the other departments.
It's a valid argument.
It
Yeah,
is,
that
it
is.
is.
They give them
So-
a project.
One was for right under $11,000. The other one was 14.
Could we, our carryover from, lack of snowplow, we only did, how much did we spend in, plows this winter?
We spent 17, and the balance of that, it's, yeah.
Cause that's for streets, and that's a street improvement.
It's spent in streets. I mean, there's no,
There's nothing
Excess.
left there. Okay.
That's also just that's coming from law, that's what it is
Yes.
now.
and we haven't even gotten to that number yet,
I
so.
know, I was, I was going if we could do it this month or next month and use the leftover lot, but if we already used it, then.
Yeah.
You want me to move that to buildings and grounds?
It seems like the most appropriate place for it.
It is the right place for it, but it just, I mean, it's really
Doesn't have.
paying Peter.
It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's which way, where do you want to show it?
but yeah, take it off the chief's budget, put it in buildings and grounds since it is a street improvement.
But I think he had also, let me double check this. He had in there 15 before the 11, so I had compromised it. So The 15 is what he originally put in here. So I'll add the 11 to the buildings and grounds. What do you wanna do about the 15 in here? So,
What's the
Greg, what is
15
the
for?
15 planned for?
If you're talking, you're on.
And that's a capital 15.
Yeah.
And I,
15 for construction and improvement.
there was nothing planned for it. It was supposed to be a savings account originally, and things come up throughout the year, so it's unplanned event.
So I'd
Well,
say
we
either
s-
contingency or
We used 11,000 in it this year already. What are we constructing?
That's because we've been, we had to use some for,
The truck?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's nice.
so that skews things, yeah.
Okay, I don't understand if we're putting 10,000 in contingency and then now we're putting another 15,000 into construction improvement for something that we don't know of. That sounds like we're putting 2,500 into contingency.
It is basically the same, yeah, yeah. This year we had lots in capital that's all being used.
No, I wanna make sure that we put money to structure gear, wildland gear, personal protection.
Yeah.
That doesn't get pulled into a $35,000 engine this year. So I want them to get their safety gear that they didn't get this year. But let's have a reserve, because we know that this transmission is gonna go out this year. And that's gonna be $22,562. So
Maybe it's
Chief
just
doesn't know
the
how to
name of the
drive a
line item
stick.
is weird. Construction and improvement.
What did you say?
I said maybe it's just the name of the line item is weird, construction and improvement.
and that's what I'm just saying, instead of
It's-
having 15,000
Instead of putting
construction
capital,
improvement,
yeah.
move it over to capital and say 25 there and say, okay, we need all that in capital, now we can go down to 20, so we just say $5,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, chief,
Okay, so tell me what I'm putting in construction and improvement?
nothing.
Zero.
0,
Yeah,
We moved the 11,000 to get the road fixed to buildings and grounds.
and then we're doing 10 in contingency.
Now we'll do 20 in contingency.
20, okay, gotcha.
So that takes the 15 from construction improvement, puts it in contingency minus the 5,000.
okay.
And the leases are what they are.
40,000 in safety equipment.
That's,
Okay, I'll change that back to 40. So just overall, we're not whittling at our deficit much,
no,
which is gonna have to come from somewhere eventually here.
Greg, do you need a computer this year?
No, that's for computer services. I have a brand new computer that I just got within not even a year old.
There's a amount of computer purchases.
Yeah.
So cross,
Get rid of that.
Yeah.
okay,
Or just to go back, you don't have anything in computer IT support.
no, it's all in
It's all in
admin.
one,
Admin,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
It was like,
too confusing.
Nope, that's good.
it just is easier.
Forgot.
Okay, moving on,
Micro.
Marshall. So starting with revenue, he has a donation to carry forward. And another 1,000 hopefully anticipated. Didn't know what to do with city code violation fees. We've done $800 this year. Wasn't sure. And how much of that actually goes to Marshall versus what, I don't know, I don't know. And then court fines. We're bringing a lot more in but you've said that you can't count on that
we don't
being
know
that
what
high
type of-
level.
We don't know what type of cases we'll end up with, we don't know what
Right.
the court will do,
Right,
it's,
so he wants to keep that at 40.
I think it's just safer.
If you hire another guy, the crime rate will go up though.
So payroll reflects another officer
What?
and $1.69 per employee, which he's averaged 5% over them. So the payroll's a pretty good jump, 25% jump. And you can look at the payroll sheet if you want to.
I'd like to find a way to make it work to have the marshal's office fully staffed.
Yeah.
So were these city code violations, were those from our city code
The
ordinance?
civil
The
citations,
civil citations that we were doing, actually, we're giving those out to people?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw letters that were going out, but I didn't know if money was coming back in.
Little bit. Was eaten up by the copier expenses though.
Too much paper.
Okay, we're getting rummy now.
Yeah.
All right, we took, animal impound off the marshal and put it in general fund, didn't we?
Yeah, let's see, where is animal impound? Here
Second
it is, professional.
Page 2, line 3.
Yes, so that's going to,
Let's start out.
yeah,
yeah.
and they give us a big discount,
So,
supposedly. They make it look like it.
Is that just a build twice a year too, the animal impound thing?
normally,
Okay.
yeah,
I think I reduced repair and maintenance on autos a little bit. I don't know if that's appropriate, but we've spent 4,000 so far
oh
this
no,
year.
we spent about 8,800, cause
Okay.
I just had another one come
In
in
June.
for that big one.
Okay,
Quit putting bullet holes in them.
so I don't know
That was
when
actually
that
better.
needs to bump back
Really?
up for the repair and maintenance.
The contingency of 10,000. The safety net,
Yeah,
is that,
I mean,
if we put a little more in autos, like, do we need a little more
I would
somewhere
say
else and
we
get rid of
could-
the contingency?
so then, yeah, I apologize.
Can we bump things up a little bit in other places as needed, like if your autos needs to be up a little bit, but get rid of the 10,000 contingency line? What's your opinion on?
Or leave that.
Yeah, I guess it's 6s.
It is.
I'm saying, but if you bump everything up and it's only 2,000 and we can pull 8,000 out of it,
The thing I like about the contingency, instead of designating it to a line item,
okay,
It's open.
it's open.
when we don't have to go in and adjust it, so. You know, they have to be sure where they're putting their repair cost at, but if they exceed that, I'd much rather pull it out of a contingency versus having to pull it out of their fuel.
Okay.
He's not catching people running down Main Street when they're doing 35.
Oh, it's not running anymore. I'm old and chunky.
And did we get a chair for him?
What's that?
Did we put a chair in the budget for you?
We should, something with wide arms.
Auto,
So I'm not sure on your trainings and meetings and travel, Kurt, I did take it down a little bit, but I mean, if you want to,
The reason that our training meetings and travel this year is so low currently is that's where I'm planning to pull that $8,000 that I had to find.
Yeah.
out of. This is the first year that the state has implemented, and it goes into effect this year, where we have to have a certain amount of training in specific fields. And so we're gonna be hurting hard even this year to get some of those hours.
So we need to put more back in there then.
In training and meetings, I mean, realistically, fine with,
It's 8 versus 11 right now, but
yeah, 'cause the two combined,
yeah,
we can make that work.
okay.
Keep it at 6?
It might be tight, but
6 and 2,
we can make that work.
8 versus 11.
Now, I think the 2 for travel is, I think it'd be better off to do like 4 and 4. Because go get a hotel room for a week, you spent $1,000.
Yeah.
So you wanna do 4 and 4, okay,
I mean,
we can do that. Those two are just related
Yeah.
anyway, so,
something to that effect. But
okay,
we can make the 8.
okay,
It'll be tight, but we can do it.
okay.
The equipment lease went up.
Are
Are you anticipating leasing more things?
It went up because it was never budgeted properly.
Yeah, it wasn't budgeted right.
Is that a monthly fee though? Because if so.
It's an
Where
annual.
you at on, equipment lease, yeah.
You mean equipment or auto?
Equipment.
My apologies.
Equipment,
Equipment, we still have another one coming in.
a payment?
Yeah.
Or-
another
Oh,
payment
okay.
coming in.
So if it's
Okay.
another 9, that's 18. We
You-
budgeted 14,
Yeah, you and I did the math on that because it wasn't budgeted correct.
Okay, got it.
so we're good at 17, right? We did that,
Yeah, we did the
You did
math on
that.
that one.
we figured that out.
And same with the auto lease, that's why it went up, because it wasn't
Yeah.
budgeted properly.
Uniform,
In income, just
yeah,
throwing this out there. We could potentially put grants in if you so desired. And we could do training there as well, because I'm an instructor and I currently charge some people to do training that I take vacation for. And if you guys wanna just pay me my regular rate, then they can pay the city instead of me personally.
Do you have a strong feeling one way or the other on that?
No,
how much?
The only thing I would say on that, by you contracting with them specifically, you doing the training and providing it to them, it's on your license and your responsibility, so if it ever came back, it wouldn't be underneath the city and coming back to our ICRIP.
Mhm.
And so I think for liability, since, well, it would be, and there's no way we would still have to charge the community or whoever you're teaching. I prefer to keep it on the private.
perfect.
But,
I like all these ideas now.
yeah.
How much on grants?
But I hate you taking vacation time to teach, but it's what we do, so, like, our guys will go off hours, teach a class, get paid for it in a different range, and then if they drive to another water system, they'll go back on hours, so I think it's best for liability to keep your training separate unless we start it up. Bellevue Marshall Training Academy, which that could be an option in the future.
No, I didn't.
I have a question, is the medical lab kit supposed to cover the Menert
No,
testing? That's different? Cause I think I have all the Menert fees coming out of admin for drug testing, all of that.
And I'll be honest, by far, my department does the majority of the UAs for my employees because I require it a lot more than everybody else.
I don't even know how much it is right now.
The lab kits that's coming out of, for a lot of different things, but primarily, like we do blood draws, things like that, that we do.
Oh,
for
gotcha.
cases.
Yeah, I've seen that, but that's not it. Is that-
When you guys send the blood into the lab from the DUI, does the lab bill you? Cause I get a bill from the lab and I get a restitution order in court. Do you guys?
We don't get billed from the lab, we get billed from the hospital for drawing the blood.
Okay.
It's just become a phlebotomist.
They actually have a free class that we can do, that we can send,
Yeah.
that we can send somebody to, but that's, I have no problems doing that.
You're
For
the
the
chair.
longest time, I was actually one. But the issue is that's one more thing that we have to train, one more thing that we have to keep our certification up on, that I currently don't have time to send anybody to training anyhow.
Yeah.
It was meant as a joke.
One more set of.
One more equipments, yeah. All right, the uniforms, you have 10,000 in the budget. We had 12,000 and last year we spent 2,000.
I had no idea what was 12,000. Honestly, I think we'd go to 5 without any issues.
I mean, I wanna make sure you guys have what you need, but, and then my second one, I'm just specialized equipment, 24,000 last year. We've spent 7,200 or 7,300 roughly, and we have 18,000 in the budget.
There's gonna be more coming out of that line.
Okay.
Again, 24, I don't know where that number came from.
I mean, even if you doubled it, that would take it down to 15,000.
So realistically,
Cause we also have safety equipment
I think that,
separate.
I don't know where they came up with that. Realistically, the main thing that I can foresee in expenditure there is for like bulletproof vests, things of that nature. That's usually where I pull that and ammo.
Yeah. You need taser, get your taser
But, part of the lease. And we're current. Well, we don't have any turnover. We're current on all vests unless I hire someone. So I would think we could probably honestly drop that down to 12 to 15 without an issue.
On a specialized?
Yeah,
12,500. Now, I have a question on the one above it, the RMS CAD. Okay, we budgeted 28, we've spent 13, and I looked back in fiscal year 23, we spent 11. In 22, we spent 6,300, and in 21, we spent 8,000, so they've all been significantly lower. I'm just curious as to how we got 28,500.
You guys are playing Yahtzee, weren't you?
15 amount?
last year I didn't even get to see, my budget, so I have no idea how we got numbers.
So do you think it's gonna be 13 times 2, 26, or are we, I mean, are we there for what we paid them for this year?
I'll have to talk to Robin to find out. I honestly, I'd like to either way. I'd have to talk to,
Okay, so you're gonna
Seems like
check
we-
on that one.
Seems like we could go to at least, looks like 20,
15 to 20,
yeah.
when you know.
I would think.
Okay, I made a note. Computer. You got one
Who needs a new
computer.
computer?
Who needs a computer?
I don't know what the status of your other computer is. Is it an old one?
I can tell you the $1,500 doesn't touch a computer. Because we bought, in my opinion, a crappy new computer for me, and it was like 2,300. But, no, unless something unforeseen happens, I don't need a computer.
Looks like we bought one this year for
We did.
$12.89. Was that your?
Yeah, it was
your crappy one?
$12.89. That's why it's 15.
Horrible.
Sorry. So am I taking computer out or?
Yeah, may as well. Unless something unforeseen happens, and then I have a contingency if that
Yeah.
is needed.
And
I
in our
like that.
new, in our new computer support, they're awesome building us computers. We basically say, this is what I want, like my last one,
Yeah.
I wanted 2 of the, what are they now, the CSBCs or whatever,
Mhm.
2, I needed 2 of those, but I also needed 2, regular USB ports because
Some of the other
to
stuff.
do everything coordinate, but, you know, they gave us a solid offer and, yeah,
That's nice.
they'll build it for you and they'll drop them off here, so.
Really? The same.
I mean,
Yeah. You have, or 50 this year.
Well, our issue is like.
I had.
What are you doing? Such a-
I know,
Yeah.
because we got.
Houses.
Give you a challenge.
Guess you're lucky they can make that.
Plus, because.
You guess you're lucky they can make
that.
that.
I know, it should
That's
increase
even
the
some
fees.
surprise.
It should increase the fees.
Feel comfortable increasing the court fees.
You can increase it to whatever you want.
Just because we increase
We
it
wanna,
doesn't mean it's
we
gonna
wanna
happen.
give you a personal challenge.
That, not happening.
Thank you.
I am not in this job to find people, it just happens to be something that.
No, I just think you're underestimating going into next year.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
50 it is.
That is up to you guys.
Okay, parks.
50 seems pretty safe. And
Parks, this one. Services are broken down more on the income. So. It's hard to know what we can do exactly with our parks fees, to know if we can get much more. I don't know, I welcome your input on this one, because I did put a little time in there for additional staff time and additional services in hopes that we would at least charge a little bit to a few people. But it's not a whole lot, you know?
where do we see grants coming from?
Hopefully the parks.
I mean, we have one that,
Yeah,
me and Shelley are working on right now is the
oh yeah, I forgot
Blue
about that.
Cross Foundation Community Health, and we just went to the first workshop. We have 3 more in July, and then I think 1 in August, and if we complete that, we got 25 grand that goes to some sort of healthy living, so we can use it in our parks, we can coordinate with
Nice.
different things, so.
I guess I should change that. to
Yeah, bump
20
that
now.
to 20.
20.
And then again, the payroll part is 38% to employees for 26 weeks of the year, 20% supervisor time. And that's what that's all based on. So moving down to operating. Contract labor. So this year we had, I think the total was 18 for the Clearwater. And so 16 came out of here and the other 2 came out of buildings and grounds. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what that's gonna do. They took a nice little increase this year.
So you,
I think what you budgeted makes sense to allocate for an increase in case it comes, but.
And there are some additional services that are not accounted for if we had to have them do some thatching or mulching or whatever. That's not in any of this.
yeah, we've had to have them do some
Yeah.
sprinkler repair last year. So.
What are the utilities covering?
It is power. We're gonna have more power because they're putting power in at the
Little
cover.
thingy?
And that's pretty much it, is power. Trash.
Hmm.
I probably should just separate that out. I hadn't gotten that far. Cause it would be nice to know on the trash,
I was just
especially if we're
gonna say.
gonna be charging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll separate that.
Do you wanna maybe put a trash or like trash and porta potty line item in the income for the
It
additional?
is, it's the other additional services. I just,
Oh, okay,
I
it's
didn't-
under additional services.
it
sorry.
is additional
Okay.
services. In my computer, it's trash and potty.
Okay.
But I just didn't put it on here because of room,
Okay.
but that is what that is.
We had talked about a line item specific to the Howard Preserve, since there's
yeah.
work that gets done on that thing that doesn't get accounted for. Specifically,
Like
So-
streets work that needs to be allocated.
yeah,
Well, it just
Or-
maintenance to that park
Maintenance,
yeah.
specific.
To that
I mean,
park.
park,
Okay.
park specific.
I mean. With the
Well,
fence,
maintenance
chair
and repair.
maintenance, I know they're doing graffiti removal out there. It's like anything with a flat surface and a Sharpie. Boom.
Should we just bump up maintenance and repairs a little bit? Actually, we've spent $311 and we've budgeted 4,000. For parks.
I don't think we need to bump that up.
I think we-
I'm wondering,
Well, Bura has done some for us.
when we don't have riverbank restoration, if that just goes into a maintenance fund for the preserve specific.
So you wanna get rid of riverbank restoration?
I'm just trying to figure out how we could do that, because I do want it there in case we do have a high flood runoff year or a big flood year.
Contingency.
But yeah, maybe we just move that 3,000 into a contingent that could go to
Yeah.
Riverbank or Howard Preserve.
Okay.
I like that.
Mhm.
Okay, we done with parks?
Mhm.
One more,
Oh, God.
streets. This one, I beefed up on the income. Back in 23 though, I don't know, there was 62,564 of dedicated carryover. I need to check into that. Does anyone have any recollections about that?
For my time.
Okay, I'll check into that. Because I don't want to not have that if it is something we need to carry through. So all the highway funds come directly from my AIC manual. Last draft, the 54 was missing because they left a whole column out of the book. I know we're contemplating lot tax changes. I don't know, I guess in this one, I was feeling very optimistic and I bumped it. How are we gonna approach lot tax for the coming year? Are we gonna get some changes made to that and get more in?
Yeah, I think right now we're just looking at, increasing the hotel tax, go from the 3 to 6%, but that's gonna have to go on the November ballot and be approved, so I wouldn't,
Count your chickens before they're
Right.
hatched.
I do think we could maybe bump, well, no, 50 is probably good. I know we have to work on compliance on that. To get it to read more accurately for what it actually should be,
but let's
Well,
see,
we're at
but so it may be
31.5 right
50
now.
is the safer number.
you know. Hey, we are gonna see a substantial increase come. When will it be? The World Cup. I mean, cause they're gonna be using every bed in the valley to support all each team has like 10 individual guys that supports one person, so.
Wow.
They're gonna be taking everybody we have.
Bigger lot tax.
Plus the crowds that it brings, so.
So do we like Shelley 75?
Oh, we love it, but.
We've seen it last 2 years, it's been right at that 50. I say, let's be. I would say 60.
That's
just-
what I was thinking.
Okay.
And, you know,
There's-
encroachments, I mean, we've done $400 this year. I mean,
And we took that from P and Z, right?
yeah, that's coming, and that one's getting erased.
Alright.
This one is
So they know.
gonna stay.
Just to clarify on the lot, if we do bring in more than that, we can still spend it all, right? If we do bring in more than the 60, can we spend it in the same fiscal year or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can spend as much money as we can in the streets,
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's what we dedicated it to. I mean, there's never gonna be a shortage of potholes.
No, I mean, we can use up whatever we put there every year. Remember when I asked about that grant, 115,888? I think it is that sidewalk grant that Ashley was working on. I haven't had a chance to call Ashley, but I know that's still hanging out there. Somebody mentioned it last week before I left. I don't know who, when, where, what. It was like another entity or something. So that's what triggered me to put that back in. So I need to see what I can get from her on that. Cause I would hate to not have it there
Mhm.
and then get that. So, I mean, you can see that bumps up, well, I guess you gotta take another 15 off of there, but it still bumps it up
Mhm.
pretty good. Payroll is based on the, minus all the B&G and parks time. That's just legit streets. Streets only.
We don't have any work comp for this year though, in there.
It's, my computer's all messed up on it.
Okay.
That was just an oversight on,
Yeah, no worries.
you have to manually figure that out right now.
And that's based off last year's salaries. again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Automobile lease is, the portion, that Streets pays on the Chevy. Okay. Contract labor, that one, that's not snow removal. That one was Troy, so I took it out.
Okay,
That was the only thing that was in there last was Troy. Put the 10,000 contingency. We're averaging almost 1,500 a month on fuel. So, I mean, right now we're at almost 12 and we budgeted 11.5. So I bumped that up.
They're gonna start walking.
Yeah. Repairs and maintenance is all broken down way deeper than it ever has been, so that repair and maintenance general is kind of a, if it doesn't fit another category. So non-auto, we've spent 8,700, I put 10 in there, and that would be for equipment. Streets. I just plugged a number in, I know that doesn't go very far, but, I mean, it will do some potholes, right?
Like that non-auto, even though we've upgraded the fleet and got some newer vehicles, we still have to replace the, blades on the,
Yes,
on the grader, and we have to, same on the plows, we have to put new protector things on, so there's always gonna be a need.
and then we broke down and put some in for trees, hopefully Idaho Power is doing a lot for our trees.
Okay.
They're supposed to be working on Bellevue this year. And then budgeted the 50 for snow removal, just as a, we're gonna get a bigger snow year. We've gotta be getting a bigger snow year than what we had last year.
But we also have more guys plowing now, right? So
From our own team.
less contract.
Well, less and more, because we're gonna look to contract with a company that we're not buying the fuel, they're not using our trucks. So what little that we want to use them, and correct me if I'm wrong, but will be someone like Clearwater who comes in and has all their own stuff.
Yeah,
They're not using our stuff,
yeah.
but overall,
That'd
there'll be a little more per, but hopefully they won't have to do as much.
Cause we'll still have to use all our stuff.
Yeah,
And the reason we're looking at that way is when we did the original RFP for it, we got two different ones. We got one that was very high and one that was very low. But the one that very low, we coordinated to use our equipment, our
Yeah.
vehicles. And since they're not theirs, they don't take ownership of them. They just bash everything and leave garbage in it. And then when our guys come in to use it, they're spending half the day fixing it, cleaning it out,
Not a.
pouring it out. So to keep our equipment running, we want to contract somebody else as equipment and their personnel. But I do
That
have
makes
some
more sense
plans as we
anyway.
talk into water and sewer. We might be moving somebody out of streets into water, and there's another guy out of another municipality like come down here, fill on our streets, but then in the wintertime, that water guy can plow the streets. So that'll be a fourth person that we would have during a significant event if we had to bring our guys in.
And we still have all our own stuff. Yeah. That's way better.
So I was just reading up on that local option tax, so if we budget $50,000, but we get $75,000, we're supposed to put that excess money into this
and then you mean,
tax relief fund, but it just goes to reduce the taxes the next year, and so. think we
I
may
kind of want to
there
budget higher.
on the
That's,
Budget
side
higher.
higher.
that was my question.
So go back up to
Yeah.
75,000.
Yeah.
yeah, you already had good
Just in
reason
case
for
you
that.
But I also, are you guys comfortable going even higher? Because what if we pass an additional lot and we could
Okay,
double?
say we are doubling it, so let's just go with the even 100,000 on
I'd
it.
like to go 100.
Ooh,
With an asterisk.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because I don't want that overage to be wasted or have to be, not
Yeah, when would
wasted,
that
sorry, I
go,
don't mean to
when
say
does
that.
that, when does that go into
Yeah.
effect? If we pass it, does it go into effect the next July, or does it go into?
January, I would
As soon as you
January.
publish it.
publish it.
And then
So
there
that
is
would be
this
most
big
of our
World
fiscal
Cup
year.
coming.
And are we
Yeah,
gonna do that on the
November
November ballot?
that's what we're
Yeah, okay.
discussing,
I think that would be a good idea.
so I'd like to go 100.
okay,
Thank you.
Good catch.
Thank you, Rick. You solved that mystery.
repair maintenance autos. You know, we had some kind of upstart expenses, like putting lights and decals and all this kind of stuff
A lot
on.
of upstart
A
expenses.
lot of upstart stuff, but, you know, just going by, we've spent 5, I don't know, I mean, whether that could go down. There's always gonna be, we need tires after, you know, this, and we need, you know, a water pump or whatever. What do you think?
We're at 6.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking 5K, but you wanna leave,
let's see.
What were you thinking?
just 5K.
Yeah,
I mean, again, we have that 10,000
Contingency,
contingency,
so
so
you could drop it to what you guys feel comfortable with, but.
I'm fine with 5.
I'll go to 5.
What if we went to 3,500 and put another 1,500 in contingency and that still drops it to below 0.1. That makes it 5,000.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think I understand
I
your
would put
reason for loading
500
the
into
contingencies,
contingency.
it makes sense.
yeah, if we
10,500.
So what am I adding to contingency?
you put 3,500 in
Yeah.
automobile and then 1,500 into contingency, so it'd be at 11,500 in contingency.
Gotcha. Okay. Streetlights, not sure, you know, we need all new streetlights on our main street, but we're hoping, you know, eventually to be able to get grants for that with our transportation plan. We've spent 1,100 this year, I mean, I guess in general maintenance, you know, figured we'd probably spend a
I
couple
mean, they
grand
did
easy on.
fix a lot of broken ones that should last. a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, there's just that ongoing.
I think there's gonna be enough ongoing, plus any electrical upgrades, if one gets hit, and then if we have any significant, then we still have to replace some Christmas lights, bulbs and stuff too. So.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's such a small number in the scheme of things, so.
yeah.
On that,
The professional services is the transportation plan portion that we're gonna need to pay. Signs, I know Casey and I have talked about signs, he could spend a fortune on signs. But this is kind of miscellaneous signs until hopefully we can get some grant that'll redo all the city signs.
There's gonna be an LTAC grant that
Yeah.
they're just gonna come up here with a trailer full of signs one of these days, but
Yeah,
I think we'll continue keeping that signs budget low and replace as needed.
yeah,
The professional services, you said 7,500. And it was for the transportation plan. We paid 6,200. Is that part of the plan or do we still owe?
no, we still owe.
Okay.
We've only paid $1,000 down.
Okay.
Most of that 62 was the traffic study. Yeah, that Marshall and Streets incurred.
Okay.
They split that. Small tools and equipment. Yeah. Supplies, I know. You know, and
Sorry.
we're all scratching our heads on that one, so I just
Sound
went
like
with
a
$5,000.
Comma in the wrong spot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez, seriously.
yeah,
Yeah, but there can be a variety of different things. Additional gravel, additional sand.
Yeah.
But I think the repairs and maintenance category has been fleshed out so well.
I mean, that's street maintenance, so.
Obviously, we haven't used the majority of that funds. The F5's fund.
and then trainings and meetings, I just kind of separated a little bit out for travel. But most of the classes like that Ethan's taken have been pretty, I mean, $60 and they're online.
Yeah, we've only
He went to
spent
Boise for one class. So I don't know if they need more for training. But 23, they budgeted big time for it.
800.
I think the fact that we can do our own in-house CDL, how much does that save us? Or how much would that cost us? What, because we do want to get,
So if you guys had somebody that would sign up to do their own ELDT, it really doesn't cost a whole lot to become ELDT certified. However, if you're going to send them to one of the ELDT people here locally, I've talked to the one gentleman and he's going to give Bellevue a really good rate as far as the ELDT training portion. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure that Casey would want to sign up to do the ELDT stuff himself. I don't know, that'd be up to Casey. But, you would have to, my recommendations, being the few that we have, I would just send them down to the person locally and he's gonna give us a fairly decent rate for the training.
Okay. Would $1,500 cover that rate, or do I need to put 5,000 into that rate?
How many people are you gonna get?
Say 2.
Two?
I'll be happy if I get 1.
1,500 and cover it.
Okay.
And then 500 for travel.
They shouldn't have to travel.
Okay, perfect. So we got a little cushion there. Uniforms, I bumped it up a little bit. I know that they could use some more shirts and pants and things. And I was hoping, I actually tried to call Cintas about their uniform program, where they just bring shirts or whatever, and then they just, the guys don't even have to take them home. They just,
Yeah.
Cintas takes them or whatever.
Mhm.
They never did call me back on that. I was just curious because I heard it was pretty reasonable to do. So I'm still gonna try to follow up
Try
on something like that.
Yeah. I think that sounds like a great service actually for this
Yeah.
situation.
There's
Yeah.
a couple of them up here.
I mean,
Yeah.
granted,
Airmark.
Carl uses Aramark, I mean, they don't have
Aramark.
uniforms, that's cool, but try Aramark as well.
Mhm.
How do you spell that one?
Aramark.
Oh, okay. And what about, is it Al's? I'm trying to say, there's another company that does rugs and stuff. They probably do uniforms.
They do,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's that?
They do.
Yeah. So I was just
I
gonna
think
check
that's a
into
good
that.
idea. I'm just gonna ask about streetlights.
Yeah.
Does Idaho Power or anyone have like an LED trade out or like efficiency trade out program for streetlights, old streetlights?
Most of the streetlights have been
Changed out?
changed out to the LED.
Okay.
Power went through and did that a while
They already
ago.
did that, okay.
It's
Sorry.
their bulbs and we're just paying,
Some
we
of
pay so much per lumens.
some of the streetlights on Main Street itself are LED. Because we wanted to go with a different type of light. But. It's great. And we had 2 lights that were hit this year. Have we ever submitted anything to get them to pay for said lights?
Well, I think I've submitted everything to iCrimp, but maybe I should double check that.
Do the people that
Well,
hit them
lights,
have
wait
to
a
pay
minute.
for them?
Well, I would hope so.
Check.
I would think, but
I'll have to check on that, I don't know. But 1,200 of the 1,700 are the actual Idaho Power poles. The rest of it, the 500 is the rest our stuff.
Oh, gotcha,
And so, yeah,
okay.
I reduced safety equipment a little bit because we did the first aid kits, we did all that this last year, so. I don't, unless there's some safety that nobody's told me about,
Are the
Casey hasn't really said.
radio fees being covered somewhere else or recoded, because it was 3,600 so far.
That was the purchase of new ones,
Purchase new ones, okay, thank you.
so the 500 covers the fees.
If they need more safety equipment, they can go on the contingency, because I don't know if they need, how many sets of eye protection does a guy need when he's weak whacking?
3,000 still seems like a lot for uniforms to me, but.
Those shirts, those
Reflective
pretty
thing,
yellow
yeah.
reflectives
They're
are like
expensive.
$75 a piece. And Ethan's are totally covered in paint. Red paint.
What happened to the 125 in construction improvement from 24?
It's reallocating for our deficits this year. At least 50, at least 50. So that number, I mean, that, yeah. Until the end, I won't know exactly how much.
Okay. But you'll carry over the difference
I
on
would
the
like to,
budget.
yeah.
Do we anticipate any new cars or equipment? Is that something that's very specific, it's already?
Oh, that was the balance of the lot over the, oh no, maybe, it's getting late.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I came up with that.
And are you taking into consideration on some of these leases, that Borough has been pitching in this year?
Yes, all of the lease amounts are not taking into account anything from Borough. Yeah. Those are actual amounts right there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Does that come in as like an income line item then, Borough?
It came in to those direct line items
Oh,
to,
okay, offset, got it, okay. We get anywhere with this one?
anything else with streets? Well,
We should
no.
start with streets first next time, just saying.
Yeah, we
It's
need a
still gonna come
reverse.
Yeah, we
down
need to do
to,
reverse order.
yeah, we could do that. And poor Kristen had asked to do hers as soon as we could, because she had kids at home,
Yeah.
but, I can tell you right now, we did not make a
Huge then,
big dent in that,
what do we think we made, 50 grand? 70, 100.
under 100, yeah, well
Me
under,
too.
yeah,
We need to do better than
We need
that.
to do better.
yes.
I feel like there were enough changes though that we can take this and dive into it more
Okay.
ourselves. So when we come back together.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot with operating is operating,
It's just money spent.
yeah. Gotta pay the bills to operate.
Yeah.
Is there anything of me that I am not doing that you guys are needing to
Oh,
do?
you've been amazing,
At
that was
this point.
amazing.
Find us more
Hold on.
money.
I was gonna say,
Just put that all on me.
come, just maybe start, all of us start coming with ideas of where we're gonna have to make significant cuts, even though it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Having some,
We need to do
having
that.
some
the next
ideas
meeting.
here. Either, we're talking about revenue ideas, and I think that's the hard part about that is it's not guaranteed. But just coming with some hard,
We had at one point
decisions,
spoken
ideas.
about getting a grant writer. Is that,
We had a grant writer and they tried to spend $3,500 writing this USDA urban development loan application that I do every year, and we got rid of them because
yeah,
they weren't finding anything else that was
yeah, well,
the county also did offer.
Yeah.
Us to be able to reach out to their grant writer.
And I talked to Forsgren, who's doing our transportation plan at AIC. And they have a gal who's big into the grant writing stuff and helping us with the ability to take what they're doing for us and go find and get grants.
yeah, identifying them.
And I told her that we would be utilizing her services as much as possible, so, yeah. Yeah.
all right. I would what's the magic word, John?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you,
Yes.
guys.
Very,
Thank you.
very
Thank you.
thorough. A lot of work,
It is,
amazing.
every number affects
Yeah.
everything.
Does.